Hello everyone, welcome to this Java session. In this session, I'm going to take all the core Java topics which will help you out in any kind of interview which you are going to face as a Java developer. Okay, this video is for the absolute beginners till I'm going to take you till the advanced level. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, what you have to do is you have to install Java in your system. Okay, so in order to do that, let's go to any one of your browsers and just say download Java. Okay, and it is going to take you to the official Java development page. Okay, there is Java download Oracle owns Java programming language, so it's going to take you to this particular website. So from this website you can choose any version of your Java, whichever you have. See, now the latest version they are saying is like Java 18 is the version which is available right now, and you can scroll down. Okay, and you can check, okay, whether you want for the Linux, you want for the Mac, or you want for the Windows. Okay, and if your system is like 64-bit, okay, you have to click on this 64 installer. Okay, or you can do this one as well, MSI installer as well. Okay, when you download it, okay, you just have to install it. That's it. Okay, and if you want an older version like Java 1.8 or 8, okay, you can get those versions also. And depending upon your operating system, either it is 32-bit or 64-bit, you can download that and install in your system. Okay, the way to confirm whether Java is installed in your system or not, what you can do is you can open command prompt from your Windows. I'm using Windows 10, and from the command prompt, okay, you just have to type Java in small letters and hit enter. Okay, it's going to give you the information about the Java like this. And we want a Java compiler, so let's say Java C. Type Java C and hit enter, and it's going to give the information about the Java compiler as well. Okay, but if you get any other messages like apart from this, then you have not successfully installed Java in your system, and the path is also not configured properly. Okay, so I'll let me show you how you have to configure the path correctly, okay, for the Java programming. So first, Java, after installing Java, C program files. Okay, there will be a folder called as Java. Here it is, and you'll be having two versions. Okay, one is the JDK folder and one is the JRE folder. So I have installed JDK 1.8 in my system, and what you have to do is you have to open this JDK, then you have to open the bin folder, and this is the path you have to copy. Okay, so this is the path you have to copy, and same way you have to do for the JRE also. So you have to open the JRE, again the bin folder, and copy this path. Okay, like this. And then what you have to do is come to the properties, and here in this you have to click on the advanced system settings. Okay, you are going to get this particular window, and from here you have to click on the environment variables. So here you have to come to the system variables and search for this path, and then you have to click on edit, and here you will have to click on new and paste that path over there. See, if I just click it and paste the path over there, see, I have already pasted here both the JDK and JRE, and then you just have to click OK, OK, and OK, and you can close all these windows, and you have successfully installed and configured Java in your system. Okay, now in order to write Java programs, okay, I'm going to be using Eclipse IDE, okay, which I have already installed in my system. Okay, so let's go D drive. I have kept Eclipse folder here. Okay, it's an extracted folder. So when you open this particular folder, you'll get this particular file, that is eclipse.exe. You just have to double click on that, and it's going to start your Eclipse window where I'm going to be writing all the Java programs. So once the Eclipse starts, you're going to get this particular window. Okay, now in order to start your programming, first what you have to do is you have to go to file, go to new, and create a new Java project. Okay, if you're not getting this option here, you can click on the project option. Okay, from this window, you will get the Java project option. Click on the next, okay, and give a project name to our Java project. Okay, so I'll simply say like this: learning underscore Java, or learning core Java. like this, and you just have to click on finish. That's it. Okay, and here on the left side you will be able to see your project name, and if I just click on this arrow mark, it will expand the tree structure and you will find the source folder src. src is the folder where you are going to write all the Java programs. Okay, but in order to do that, first you will have to create something called as packages in Java. Packages are nothing but folders. Okay, so let me just right click on this src folder, go to new, and click on the option which called as package. And package name, always you have to keep it in small letters. So what I'll do, I'll just name the package name as introduction and hit enter, or you can click on the finish button and it will be done. So as you can see here on the left side, we have got the introduction package. Packages are nothing but folders. Okay, now you can right click on this introduction package, go to new, and create your class. Okay, you have to create a class, okay, where the class name has to start with alphabet and it has to be a capital letter. So let me say like this. Okay, so let me say my class name is called as intro. Okay, when I say intro, I here is capital. Okay, after I it can be small letter, capital, numbers, anything. Okay, now we will have to add a main function to that. Okay, so the main function is public static void main. We can either take it from here and click on finish, and we'll get an auto generated stub like this that it has generated for us. Or if you don't do that, okay, we can manually write that code like this. So we can come here and say public static void main, and all the arguments, okay, will be a string arrays. So string arrays symbol and say args. So we have successfully created a class. Okay, let me just maximize the screen a bit. Okay, so we have created a class called as intro where I is capital, and it has a main function called as main, and inside this class we are going to write our first line of code, that is hello world on the screen. So you can say system. Okay, system is an inbuilt class in Java, so that's why S is capital over here, and it will say system.out.println. Okay, and inside the parenthesis and inside the double quotes, I'm going to say hello world. Have to come to the right side and end it with a semicolon, just like that. Okay, now save the program, and you can right click anywhere on the program, go to run as, and run as Java application. Okay, so as you can see, this is the output screen where you are going to see hello world printed on the screen. Okay, or we can directly just click on this green button which says run intro, and it will give the same output hello world on the screen. Okay, so we have successfully configured the Eclipse Java, and we have written our first Java program, and which is a class which has a main function, and inside the main function, to print anything on the screen, we use system.out.println line. Okay, so now first topic I want to take is something called as tokens. Okay, so first of all, let me just right click on src again, go to new, and create a new package, and package name always in small letters, so I'll write tokens. Okay, and now right click on tokens package, go to new, and create a class. Class name also I'll give it as tokens itself, and let me add the public static void main and click on finish. Okay, so we have a class which has a main function. So our class name is called as token, and it has a main function inside that. Okay, now here let me write it in comments. So like, what is tokens? First let me write the definition, and let me get back to you. So here I have written down first the definition of tokens. Okay, whenever you go to an interview or something, first you have to start with the definition of what you are trying to say. Okay, so they might ask what are tokens. So see, you have to say like this. So tokens are the smallest unit of any programming language. Okay, so there are few tokens in Java language. Okay, so there are like literals, identifiers, keywords, variables, separators, and there are operators. Like these are the operators which have like arithmetic operators like plus minus symbols which we use for calculation purpose, and there are relational operators like in order to know like less than, greater than, all those things, and we have logical operators like and, or, not. These are all the logical operators. So these are all are considered as the tokens which we are going to be using in our programming languages. Okay, a token can be a smallest unit. Say a dot can be the smallest unit of any programming language. Okay, so it can be a sentence, it can be an smallest word also, it can be one simple character also, which is making your Java program. Okay, so those things are called as tokens. The first token I want to talk about is literals. So let me write here. Okay, so we have like four types of literals are there. Okay, so the first category is numbers, in which we have int value, okay, that is integers, and we have something called as decimal numbers, which are called as either float or double. So now, how to print any integer value in Java language? Okay, you just have to use that system.out.println line like this, and if you want to print any kind of integer, okay, you just have to type that integer. That's it. Okay, and please note for number values. Okay, even if it's an integer, float, or double, okay, we are not going to use any kind of single quotes or double quotes. Okay, so in order to print numbers, we will print directly like this. And let me just save this program, right click and run the program. Okay, you can click it as Java application, and as you can see, we have printed 10 on the screen. 10 is an integer. Okay, if you want, you can print 100 also on the screen. Let's save it and run the code as Java application, and we are seeing 100 on the screen. So this is how you print integer values. Okay, and now let us print some decimal numbers. So sys out, and let's say 2.34 something, and let's save it. And please remember, for integer also I have not used any kind of single quotes or double quotes, not even for the float or double values. Okay, so whenever we use a double value like this, okay, a decimal place, okay, by default it will be considered as double. Okay, that is the data type of this particular number, not a floating point. So now let us run this application, and as you can see, we have printed a decimal number as well. Okay, so this is the first type of literal. Okay, they are called as number literal. So let me write it here in the next line. I'll put like this one. Okay, the first type of literal is numbers. Okay, then the second type of literals are characters. Okay, so characters, and usually the data type we use for character is char. Okay, I'll come back to what is data types and all those things. But when we are printing characters, okay, when we have only one character to print, okay, we use a single quotes to print characters. So let me write it like this, and let's come to our code, and in system.out.println line, okay, in single quote, okay, I'll put the variable a. Let me save it and let's run the program. Okay, so as you can see, we have printed the single character. Okay, and please note, I'm using only single quotes to represent only one letter. Okay, one alphabetical letter. Okay, just like this. Okay, now this is the second type of literal which we have in any programming languages. Okay, now coming to the third type, okay, of literal, that is called as strings. Okay, see, strings are like, if you have more than one character, you should consider them as string values, and strings are written in double quotes like this. Okay, so I'll say double quotes for string values like this. Okay, and now let me just save it. Let's come here inside the main function, and let's print out some string. Okay, see guys, now I'll put double quotes, and if there is more than one character, okay, see, let me type like this, hello world. Okay, and here this space in between the hello world is also considered as a string character. Okay, so now let me save it. Let me right click and say run as Java application, and you're seeing we have printed the string in double quotes. Okay, but what happens if I try to print in single quotes like this? Okay, there are more than one character in hello world. Okay, and now I'm saved the program, but we got a red color line below that indicating that we have done some kind of a mistake. That is, it's saying invalid character constant. Okay, so that is the reason we can't print a string value in single quotes. So let me come back and give it like this in double quotes. Let me save it and let's run the code. Okay, see, these are the three literals which we have covered so far. Okay, now let's come to the fourth and last type of literals, that is called as Boolean literals. Okay, Boolean literals are like only true and false. Okay, we can say we can store it into some variable, or we can simply say system.out.println print true. Okay, now let's save it and let's run the code. Okay, so it is printing true on the screen. Okay, so these are the type of literals. Okay, these are the 4 types of literals which you will be using to print something on the screen. Okay, so this is the first type of token which I wanted to talk about. So the next token I want to talk about is identifiers. Okay, what are identifiers? See, they are the names given to our programs or the variables. Okay, so here, as you can see, I have printed 100 on the screen. Okay, in line number 21, I have printed system.out.println 100. Okay, so first of all, let me do like this. Okay, we'll create a separate package for identifiers. So let's go to src folder, right click, new, go to package and say identifiers. And let me just create a new class very quickly called as identifier. Okay, let me add the main function for this one. And here, suppose guys, I have this variable that is 100 which I want to print on the screen. But what I can do is I can name this one as an integer value a. Okay, see, a is the name which I have chosen for this variable 100. Okay, and since what type of variable this is, that we have to mention by mentioning its data type. Okay, then we can just simply print the value of a and do all the calculations related to the variable 100 using the a variable itself. Okay, so right now I'm printing the value a, okay, which is holding 100. So let me just right click on this, run as Java application. Okay, so this is the name. Okay, see, this is called as identifier. See, I'm identifying this 100 as a, and I'm doing some calculations on that a variable. See, like this, if I just simply copy paste this code and say do a plus 2. Okay, do a plus 2. Okay, so value of a is 100 and it will add 2 to that and it will give us 102 as the answer. Okay, just like this I can do any kind of calculations as well. A multiplied by a itself. Okay, so let me just type here a, save the program, right click, run as Java application, and you are going to get 10,000 as the answer. 100 into 100. Okay, so identifiers are nothing but the names which we keep for our variables or programs. Okay, and one thing you have to note that here in this Java program as well, we have this public, we have this static, we have this void. Okay, see, these are called as the reserved words or the keywords. Okay, see, as I have written over here, we have some around we have some reserved words in Java. We have 50 keywords along with the two true and false. Okay, so what I cannot do is, see, here I have taken the name as a. I cannot choose any kind of reserved word, say, let's say true is equal to 100. I can't do that. Okay, I can't do that because true has an inbuilt meaning in Java. See, if it says left side hand side of an assignment must be a variable. Okay, and this is not a variable. This is a keyword in Java which I cannot use for my purpose. Okay, we can, other than the keywords, okay, we can use anything like a, b, c, d, anything we can use. Okay, so these are the things you have to remember while keeping the identifier or keeping a name for our variables or programs. Okay, so now let's come to the next token, which is called as variable. Okay, variable, what are variables? See, variables are nothing but they are the named memory locations. Okay, so let me just create a new package like this saying variables, and inside the variables let me just create a new class called as variables itself. Hit enter, and now let's create a main function inside that. You can simply type main, hold control and space, it will give some options like this, hit enter, and it will give a auto generated stub like this. Okay, now inside, okay, I want to create a variable. Okay, I want to create a variable. Okay, so left side of the variable will be the name and its data type. First we have to mention the data type like this, int a. Okay, this is a name of the variable which I'm keeping, and the variable is 10. Okay, so we have taken an integer variable and stored it inside an identifier called as a, and this time I'm going to print that variable a on the screen like this. Right click and run code. That's it. Okay, now if you have a decimal place value, okay, we have to say float. Okay, let's say f is equal to 2 point or 3 point something. Okay, and we'll have to keep it as f at the last and give semicolon. Okay, this becomes a floating value. Okay, floating value is nothing but a decimal place number. Okay, now if we don't put this float, okay, if we don't put this f, then we will have to make it as a double value. Double, let's say d is equal to some number point something like this. Okay, see guys, only difference between a floating point number and a double value is floating point number takes like 4 bytes of memory, 4 bytes of memory, whereas double will take 8 bytes of memory. Okay, and similarly in integer also, okay, integer takes like 4 bytes of memory, and if it is taking more than 4 bytes means then we'll have to make it as a long integer. So long, let's say b is equal to some very long number, long integer like this, something like that. Okay, so it has to be under 8 bytes of memory. Okay, so long b is equal to let me just keep something like this. Okay, and this one, let me write it here, like it takes like 8 bytes of memory. Okay, so this is how we print okay, integer, long, float, double values. Okay, so these are all the variable names which we have kept, a, b, f, d, something like that. Okay, and other data types which we have is character. Okay, so for that we write char as a data type, and then on the left side we have to keep a variable name. Okay, and here in single quotes, characters are always given in single quotes. Let's say one character, small letter g, I want to print the screen, and that is also done like this. Okay, and then we have our string values. Okay, let's say s. Okay, or let's say string s1. Okay, that is the name I want to keep, and here I want to say hello. Okay, so hello on the screen, hello, or hello, welcome to Java programming, like this, and end it with semicolon at the last. Okay, so these are all the different types of data types and variable names which we have kept. Okay, and which we are going to print one by one on the screen. Okay, so first of all, what we have done is we have printed integer value a on the screen, and just like this I'm going to keep printing the float value which I have taken as f. Okay, and the long value, the b, and system.out.println. Okay, let's print the double value d. Okay, and then let's print the character ch, and at last let's print the string value, that is s1. Now these are all the data types which are available for you in Java, and let's run the code, and we have successfully created these many variables for which we are seeing the output on the screen like this. Okay, so different data types, different variable names, which takes different memory spaces for depending upon the data type which we mentioned here at the left side. Okay, like this. So we have successfully completed, okay, literals, identifiers, keywords, and variables. Okay, and what are separator means? See, these brackets, see, this is parenthesis, this is braces, this is bracket, colon, semicolon, comma, full stop, or we call it as dot operator in programming language. Okay, so these are the separators, okay, which we'll be using while writing a Java program. Okay, so as you can see, at the end of each line I'm writing semicolon, and here in the print function I'm using parenthesis. Okay, and here we have used for the block statement, and for the class opening and closing we have used curly braces. Okay, so like this we will be using lot of separators while we are writing a Java program. Okay, next comes the operators. Okay, operators are nothing but the things which we use to perform some operation on operands. So like this, for addition we use plus symbol, for subtraction minus, For multiplication, we use star. For division, we use forward slash, and a modulus symbol, that percentage symbol, is used to find the remainder of two things when we divide them. Okay, just like that, we have relational operators, which will say whether a number is less than or greater than, something like that. Okay, and later on we have some logical operators as well, and logical and is given in this format, logical or is given in this pipeline operator, and not symbol is the exclamation mark, which we say in English. Okay, so these are all the basic stuff which you require to write any kind of Java program. Okay, so all the tokens which I have mentioned over here, you should be having knowledge about these things. Okay, so I hope this is very clear, because from this stage, okay, we are going to be start writing our own Java programs based on our knowledge about tokens. So the next topic I want to talk about is conditional statements in Java. Okay, so we basically have 5 conditional statements, that is if and the combination of if else, then we have the switch case statement, then we have break, and the final conditional statement is called as continue statement. Okay, so how to use these conditional statements in our Java program is, let's say, suppose I have a variable called as a, and which is holding the value as 10 in the memory location. So we have named a memory location called as a, which is holding the integer type of data, which is holding the 4 bytes of memory, that is 10. Okay, now let's suppose I have integer b, okay, which is like 20, and now I want to compare both of them, okay, using relational operators. So let me write it here. So relational operators are like this, the less than, greater than, okay, less than or equal to, like this, and greater than or equal to, something like this. Okay, now let me just correct this. Relational operators. Okay, now let's suppose I am making a comparison between a and b. For that reason, what I will have to do, just like a function, I have to write a if along with this parenthesis symbol and open and close curly brace like this. Okay, now inside this parenthesis you have to give those conditions. If suppose a is less than b, okay, what you are supposed to do? Okay, so if a is less than b, then inside these curly braces I'm going to write something on the screen, okay, based on the condition which is present over here. Okay, see, if I say based on these conditions, if it is true, okay, if it is true, we'll print one statement on the screen saying that, okay, a uh, a is less than b. So like this, I want to have a confirmation message on the screen. Okay, and let's save this program and let's run it once and check. So I'll say run as a Java application, and as you can see, it is saying a is less than b. Okay, but what if a is greater than b? So let me come to line number 8 and change the value of a to 100. Let's save the program and let's run it. So obviously b is 20, a is 100. Okay, and when I run this program, so as you can see, we are not getting any kind of output on the screen because this condition has failed. Okay, and it has never come to this particular line, that is line number 13. So in that case, what we have to do, we have to have an else block also. Well, so in the else block always starts like this. Okay, open and close curly brace. If this condition is true, then it will come to this one and it will not execute the else block. But in this case, a's value is 100 and b's value is 20. So what it will do, it will never come to this particular line. It will directly come to the else block and it will print something like this. So let me just say system.out.println, okay, b, okay, the variable b is greater than a, something like this. Okay, now let me just save the program and let's run the code. Okay, so as you can see, we have got a different output from the previous one. Okay, now let's change this back to 10 and let's save the program and let's run it back again. And now you'll be able to see that a is less than 10, it is getting printed, okay, which was in line number 13. Okay, so this is how you have to use either the if condition or the combination of if else condition. Okay, now let's come to the third type of conditional statement, that is called as switch case. Okay, for this what I'll do, I'll just create a new class like this, and I'll name the class as switch case itself, switch, okay, and casc. Okay, but make sure that the s part of the switch case is capital. After that, you can have capital, small, with the numbers and all those things. Okay, let's add a main function from here itself and click on finish. Now let me just delete off this commented line, and inside the main function, okay, let me have a variable called as a, whose value I'm going to keep it as 1. Whose value I'm going to keep it as 1. Okay, now I'm going to say like this, switch off. See, like this, switch off this value A. Okay, switch off this value A. It means like when A's value is 1, what is supposed to happen? And now we just have to open and close the curly brace for the switch statement. Okay, so I'm saying if switch of this particular variable, which is A, if in case this value, okay, is 1, so here we will write like this, case if the A value is 1, then what needs to be done, like that. So here for this I'll open and close curly brace and I will say system.out.println line, okay, the value of A is 1, like that. Okay, then if in case A value is 2, so that is the second case where A value is 2, open and close curly brace for that and say system.out.println value of A is 2, and let me write in case A value is 3, then we'll print on the screen saying that the value of A is 3. Okay, and now at the last, if A value is not 1, 2 or 3, okay, then it should come to the default statement. Okay, then it should come to the default statement saying that you have chosen the wrong value. Okay, I'll say like this, you have chosen the wrong value, like this. Okay, but now A value is 1. Okay, and so switch of 1, so this statement should get executed. Okay, and the code should not go any further. See, case 2, case 3 and the default statement should not get displayed on the screen. Okay, for time being, what I'll do, I'll just run it like this only. Okay, I'll just run it like this as Java applications. But as you can see, A value is 1 and I am getting that line. But along with that, I am getting A value is 2 also, A value is 3 also, and it is also printing the statement which we have written inside the default block. Okay, that you have chosen the wrong value. So what should happen is, if in case A value is 1, okay, it should print this line and it should stop the program then and there itself. Okay, so here we will add the break statement like this. Okay, and let me just save it and run it once and show you. Okay, run as Java application, and as you can see, since A value is 1, okay, we are getting the output as the value of A is 1. Okay, it has not executed these 3 lines of code anymore because of this break statement. Okay, but if in case A value is 2, okay, it will not print this one and it will not print these two statements. It will print only this statement and we need to break the program here itself. So we'll add a break statement here as well, like this. Okay, similarly I'll do it for the case 3. Okay, case 3, and you have to note that the default statement will not have any kind of break statements. Okay, so now let me save this program, right click, run as Java application. As you can see, the value of A is 2, it is saying, because in line number 6 I have put the value as 2. Now let me change the value as 3. Let me save the program and let's run the program and check. And as you can see, the value of A is 3. Okay, now let's say A value I have intentionally kept it as 5. Okay, see, A value is case is 1, either case is 2 or case is 3. Okay, apart from any one of these values, okay, if we give any other value apart from 1, 2 or 3, we'll get this as the output statement. So let me just save the program, right click, run as Java application, and as you can see, we have got the default statement printed on the screen. So this is how you are going to print okay, or use switch case conditional statements in your Java program. Okay, so now let's see the last conditional statement, that is continue. And for the continue statement, okay, I'm going to be using loop programs. Okay, so first, let's come to the next topic. Let me just create a new package first for loop program. So let me say like this, loop underscore programs. Hit enter, you'll get that package name. Let's come to new, create a class, and here let me create a class called as loop statements. Let's add static void main to that main function and click on finish. So here we have a class called as loop statements, and inside the main function we are going to keep doing the code. Okay, now let me write down all types of loop control statements in Java language. So first we have the while loop. Okay, then we have the do while loop, and next we have the for loop, and there is something called as enhanced for loop, or also called as for each loop. Okay, so for each loop is also called as enhanced for loop. Okay, so here I'm going to be demonstrating examples for while loop, do while loop, for each loop, as well as, okay, the conditional statement, that is continue. So now let's come to the while loop. So let me take a variable here called as I equal to 1. Okay, now I'll write a while condition like this. Okay, while I will say while I is less than or equal to 10. Okay, now open the blocks like this and say you keep on printing system.out.println the value of I. Okay, and as soon as you print the I value, you increment it by one number, I equal to I plus 1. Okay, and this also can be written like this, I plus plus. Okay, so any one of them will do perfectly fine. Okay, now let's save the program and see guys, here I value is 1. So whether 1 is less than or equal to 10, it will check for the first time. Yeah, since 1 is less than 10, it is going to print 1 on the screen. And since I have given here ln as the code, okay, the next value will come one below another. Okay, so now let me just run this program and show you guys once. Okay, so as you can see, I value, when it is 1, it is checking whether 1 is less than or equal to 10, and then it is printing the value of 1, and it is incrementing the I value by one value. So I became 2, just like that. 2 also will get compared with 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, like this. Okay, and 10 also will get compared with 10, and when I becomes 11. Okay, see guys, you have to understand that this loop is going to run 11 times, not 10 times. Okay, 11th time the program fails and we come out of the loop. Okay, we come out of the while loop. Okay, now what happens if I don't give here ln? Okay, I just use system.out.print the value of I. So now if I run this code, okay, so as you can see, all the variables, okay, all the I values will come next to each other. Okay, it's not going to come one below another. Okay, and now after each value of I, let's print some space like this. Okay, so first we have to give the plus symbol, and then in double quotes I'm concatenating a space value. Okay, so now let's run the code. So as you can see, after each value of I, we are getting some kind of a space over here. Okay, so this is how you can play with the ln and without the ln in system.out.println line. So this was an example for while loop. Okay, now what happens if I value, let's set it to 0. Okay, and let's run the code. Okay, let's run the code. See guys, we are not getting any kind of output on the screen because here the condition has already failed. See, here it is checking whether, let me write it in comments, whether that 20 is less than or equal to 10. So the condition was already failed. It never came inside this loop. Okay, the program never came inside this loop. So it didn't print anything on the screen. Okay, so this is one of the loops which we'll be using in Java. Okay, now let's come to the do while loop. Okay, so for that, let me just create a new class. Let me keep it as do underscore while loop. Now let's add public static void main to this. Click on finish, and let's remove this auto stub. Let me get rid of these extra white spaces. And now let's do one thing. Let me take an integer variable I, which is equal to 1. Okay, now I'll say do. Okay, open and close curly brace. Okay, see, I'm doing this particular step, that I'm printing the value of I. Okay, I'll remove this ln from the system.out.println, then I'll add some space after each value. Okay, and as soon as I print the I value, I'm going to say I equal to I plus 1. Okay, or you can also do like this, I plus plus. Both are one and the same. Okay, now once after doing this, okay, once after doing this, here what you have to do, here you have to put the while condition, saying that while I is less than or equal to 10, and then at the last you have to give semicolon. Okay, now what happens is I value is 1. Okay, so it is going to print 1. Okay, and it will check whether 1 was less than or equal to 10, the value which was printed. Okay, so like this it is going to run 11 times right now. So let me just save the program and let's run it. So run as Java application, and as you can see we are printing from 1 to 10. Okay, and now suppose I value is already 20 at the beginning, and our condition says I value should be less than or equal to 10. Okay, now let's run the code and see guys, even if the condition fails, do while loop will at least print the code at least for one time. Okay, in while loop we are not get that option. If the condition fail, we are not going to get any kind of output. But in do while loop, even if the condition fails, okay, we are going to see the output at least one time on the screen. Okay, so this is the difference between while loop and a do while loop. Okay, now let's take another class. Okay, let me just create another class. So let's call it as for underscore loop. Let's add the main function, click on finish, and you'll get it like this. Okay, now for loop is considered to be the very easiest of them all. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to open and close parenthesis like this, and then curly brace for that one. Okay, so braces, and inside this for parenthesis, okay, we'll have to initialize a variable, okay, like this, I value from the starting range, and then give a semicolon here. Okay, and I should be less than or equal to the terminating condition where the I value maximum reaches, and after each iteration of this loop I'm going to increment the I value by 1 like this. Okay, I plus plus or I equal to I plus 1 also you can do. Okay, so inside this loop we are going to print the value of I along with some space. Okay, so let me just remove this ln from there. Okay, now let's save it and let's run the program. Okay, so as you can see we have printed from 1 to 10. Okay, let's say we want to print it in reverse, so let me write it in here comments, or we can just print it off like this out. Let me say like this, reversing. Okay, reversing the numbers. Okay, see, this time I want to print from 10 to 1. Okay, in order to do this, what I will have to do, I will have to write a for loop. Okay, let's take variable I itself, okay, which starts from 10. I should be greater than or equal to 1. Okay, then I minus minus. Okay, it should start from 10, then it should become 9, then it should become 8, like this it should happen on until I value reaches 1. Okay, so let's print the I value here along with some space like this. So now let's save it, and here let me just put backward slash n. So these are the escape characters. Okay, backward slash n means automatically it will make the code come to the next line. Okay, so, and please remember you have to write it inside the double quotes. Okay, now let's save the code and let's run it. Okay, so here as you are saying, okay, we have printed 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. Okay, so this is how you can print, okay, either in forward direction or in reverse direction using for loop. Okay, now coming to the last conditional statement, that is break and continue. Okay, okay, I'll give you a demonstration of break also well, and I'll give you a demonstration of the continue as well. Okay, so now let's take this for loop. Let's comment this line out, this I don't need for time being. Okay, so now let me just run this code once and show you. So we have a for loop which is running from 1 to 10. Okay, now see, this is the line which is printing that I value. Okay, but inside that for loop itself, if I say, okay, after printing all the I values, okay, check if I value has reached I equal to. See, when you are comparing numbers, okay, you have to use double equal to symbols. Okay, see, if I equal to 5, then open and close braces for this one and say you break the code then and there itself. Okay, see, this time as soon as it prints 5, okay, I want to stop the program then and there is it should not continue any further. Okay, so it has printed only till 5. See, this is how you can say that please break this program here itself and come out of the loop. Okay, so this is how you can use the break statement. Okay, now let me demonstrate how we can use the conditional statement. Okay, first let me just simply put an empty println statement. Okay, so that the code comes to the next slide. That's it. Okay, now let me write a for loop like this. For integer, let's say I equal to 1, I should be less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. Okay, so system dot out dot println I value. So let me just remove that ln from there, add a plus symbol and some space after each value of I. So first let me just simply run this code and show you guys. Okay, see guys, we have a loop which runs from 1 to 10. Okay, now what I want is before this before the output statement here, if you write if I value has reached 5, if I equal to 5, open and close curly brace for this one and say continue like this. Okay, so what it will do is first it will say check whether I value is 1. Okay, so it will not come to this code and it will print the I value like this. Okay, like this it will print 1 2 3 4, but as soon as the I value when it becomes 5, what it will do, it will come to this particular code and it will skip that number 5 and it will continue printing from 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so now if I run this code, okay, so as you can see it has printed 1 2 3 4, but it has skipped 5. Okay, it has skipped 5 and then it has continued printing 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so continue statement is used to skip any value which is written over here. Okay, like this. Or let's say I want to skip any other number, I will use an or statement here. Okay, logical or, and I will say if I value is equal to 6, say either if it is 5 or 6, you have to skip those numbers and you have to continue printing rest of the numbers. Okay, so let me just run the Java code and as you can see it has printed 1 2 3 4 5 6, it has skipped, and 7 8 9 10 it has printed. Okay, so this is how you are going to use the control statements, all the control statements, that is if else, switch case, break, continue, and the loop control statements. Loop control statements are while loop, do while loop, for each loop, enhanced, that is also called as enhanced for loop, and continue statement. Okay, so in arrays chapter, okay, in arrays chapter I'm going to teach you how we can use for each loop or enhanced for loops. Okay, for time being, okay, we'll work with while loop, do while loop, for loop, break, and continue statement. So the next topic I want to talk about is static and non-static variables. So let me just right click on SRC, go to new, create a new package. Okay, I'll name it as static underscore non-static. So let me just click on finish. Let's have a class name. Let me say class name is demo. Let's add public static void main to that and click on finish. Now here, let me just create a variable, okay, inside the main function. That's so integer a is equal to 10. Okay, see, whichever variable you create inside a function, okay, so that variable belongs to that particular function itself. Okay, and that is called as the local variable. Okay, that is called as the local variable. Okay, and if at all, if you create any variable, okay, outside the function but still inside the class, see, let me say integer b is equal to 30 or something like that. Okay, so whichever variable you create outside the main function or any function, okay, that is considered as the global variable. Okay, and only global variables can be made either static or non-static. Okay, local variables cannot be made static or non-static. This is the first thing you should know when you are creating variables. Either to create local variables, okay, you will have to create inside, okay. And if you are creating static or non-static variables, they have to be global variables, which means you have to write them outside the function, okay. You have to write outside the function, okay. So now whichever variable is inside the main function, okay, you can directly print it off. See, like the system.out.println the value of a. So let me save it and let's run the code. That's it, okay. Now, but this variable b, which is outside, okay, you will have to bring it inside first, okay, or else you won't get access for that particular variable, okay, for that particular variable, okay. Now you have to understand how to make a static variable and how to make a non-static variable, okay. Static variables will have, okay, static keyword written at the beginning of that, okay, static integer b equal to 10. So this became a static variable, okay, static global variable. And if you want to create a non-static variable, means it will not have any kind of static keyword in front of that, it will just have a variable. So let me say integer c is equal to 40, okay. So this is a non-static variable, okay. And this one, okay, b is a static variable, okay. Now how to print, okay, see how to print the static variable inside the class, okay, inside the class, okay. So our main function, that is also static, okay, and our variable b, that is also static, okay. So all the static variables which are outside the main function can be accessed directly inside the class, like this b, okay. Now if I run the code, okay, both a and b value, since they are inside the main function now, okay, they can be printed, okay. But if in case I wanted to print the value of c, okay, see, let's may remind you that c is a non-static variable, okay, and our main function, okay, that is a static method, okay. So static methods cannot access the non-static variables or functions which are outside, okay. See, as that is the reason you are getting this red color point, and you are saying, it is saying, they either change c to static, okay, but I don't want to do that, okay. But I want to show you, like, if you have any non-static member outside the main function, okay, but still inside the class, you will have to create an object of that particular class, okay. See, demo is the class name, okay, for which we are going to create an object for. So first you will have to write the demo class name, and we have to keep a reference variable for that, okay. This reference variable can be a, b, c, d, anything, okay. So let me keep it as small d, and now we have to create an object of demo class, okay. So the object part of this line of code is like this: new keyword along with the class name using parenthesis, like this, okay. So the part new demo is called as the object, okay. So let me write it here. See, first let me write it here. See, demo is the class for which we are making the object for, class for which we are making the object, okay. And here the d reference variable, okay, that is called as reference variable or instance variable, okay, which will point to all the non-static members as well as the static members which are outside the main function, okay. Now the object part is this one, new, and demo the class name along with this, okay. So this part is called as the object part, okay, and only class name with parenthesis is called as the constructor of the class, okay. See, this constructor along with this new keyword, okay, it's going to make a new memory space, okay, for all the non-static members again and again inside the class, okay. So let's create an object of demo class, okay. So that is created here in line number 15, and instead of accessing this variable c directly, okay, what we will do is we'll use the d reference variable, put a dot in front of that, and as you can see, it is saying you can now access an integer variable c which is present inside the demo class. Okay, so d.c will give me access to that variable. Okay, now if I run the code, all a, b, and c are going to get printed. Okay, but one of the advantages of making an object is, like, even if you have a static member or non-static member, okay, inside or outside the class, okay, we can access those variables using the d reference variable. If I say d dot b, okay, see, b is a static variable, okay, but then also d can point to static as well as non-static members of the class. So let me just run the code. Okay, so as you can see here, we have printed the b value 2 times. Okay, one without using any kind of object, and another one is with using the reference variable or the instance variable of the particular class. Okay, so this was the case if the static or non-static members were inside the same class. Okay, inside the same class. So now let us assume, okay, let us assume that we have a separate class over here called as sample, and that has some integer value m, okay, called as 100, and a static variable called as integer n 200. Okay, now these two, static variable as well as a non-static variable, is present in sample class. Okay, it's present in sample class. Okay, and my demo class wants to print those m and n values. Okay, m and n values. So what we have to do is, so first let me just use lines of code here so that you can see coding properly. Just get rid of this extra white spaces. Okay, so now m and n are in sample class. My demo class wants to print m and n variables. Okay, so now what we have to do is, our main function inside the demo class is static, and here n is also static, which is present inside the sample class. So what we can do is, here we can say like this, system.out.println. Okay, we can say sample class name, put a dot in front of that, and we can access that n variable. Okay, see, whenever we put dot in front of a class name, it means we are accessing some kind of a static member of that particular class. Okay, now let me save it and let me run the code. Okay, it's like asking permission from this sample person to print this n inside the demo class's main function. Okay, so that is what we have done here in line number 24. But in case of m, which is a non-static member, we will have to create an object of sample class. So how do we create an object of sample class? First we will write the class name sample, keep a reference variable for that. I'll keep it as s. Then I will say new sample. New sample portion is the object part. Okay, now I'll, in the system.out.println, I'll say s dot, okay, s dot m. Okay, s dot m will refer me to this m variable, and it will get me the value 100 on the screen. Okay, so this is how you can print a static as well as non-static variables using the reference variable of that particular class. Okay, so now let us print a static member also using s dot n. Okay, reference variable can point to the static as well as the non-static members of the class. Okay, so as you can see, we have printed all the three values. Okay, just as we discussed. So this is the difference between a static variable and a non-static variable. Okay, only global members, okay, please remember, only global members can be made as static or non-static. These local variables cannot be made into static or non-static because they are already inside the main function and they belong to that particular function. Okay, so this is what is called as making a class and making an object of that particular class. Okay, in line number 6 we have made the object for demo class. The next topic I want to talk about is the first topic in OOPS concept, object oriented concept, is called as inheritance. Here I have written down the definition for inheritance, that when one class inherits properties from another class, okay, that is called as inheritance. Okay, and the class which provides or which gives a property Okay, that is called as either superclass, base class, or sometimes even the parent class. And the class which is taking some properties, okay, that will be considered as the subclass or the child class. Okay, and we have different types of inheritance in Java. Okay, so the first one is called as the single level inheritance, which is also known as is a relationship. Okay, single level inheritance is called as is a relationship. Okay, so single level is when there is only one child and it is taking some properties from one single parent class. So let me just write down that here. So the definition for single level inheritance. So let me write it like this. When one child class inherits properties from one single parent class. Okay, so that is called as single level inheritance. So here I have a main class. Okay, why I'm saying it main class? Because it will be having the main function. So that's why whichever class is having the main function, so that class will be public. Okay, so now let me just remove these extra white spaces like. Okay, so now let's consider. Okay, let's consider a class called as a demo. Let's open and close curly brace for this. Okay, and let's say it has integer a equal to 100. Okay, integer a equal to 100, and just below the demo class, okay, let's create one more class called as sample. And let's say this sample class wants this variable which we have written inside the demo class. Okay, so inheritance, when one class takes something from another class, we use the keyword called as extends. Okay, and then we'll write the class name from which we want to take some properties. So this time sample class is taking some property from demo class. So sample class became the either the subclass or the child class of demo. Okay, so demo became parent class or the super class, or even called as the base class for demo, sorry, for sample class, like this. Okay, now uh, okay, my main class also is sample, and let's change this to test or something. Okay, let's say test class wants something from demo class. Okay, I forgot that I have made a class name called as sample previously. Okay, now what happens is whatever is there in line number 15, okay, that will be present here virtually. Okay, so we don't have to write the code once again. Okay, now all we have to do is we have to create an object of test class inside the main function of sample class. Okay, so let me write it like this: test. Let me keep a reference variable called as t, and now we'll create the object new test, like this. Okay, and using the t reference variable, this time I can access the a variable which is present inside the test class. Okay, which the test class took from demo class by using the extends keyword. Okay, when a class inherits from a class, we use extends keyword. Okay, now this one, okay, this variable, okay, it says syntax error. Okay, it's a syntax error inside variable declaration to complete the local variable declaration. Okay, now what we will do is this one, we will print it inside the system.out.println line. We'll say t dot a inside that variable. Okay, now that error is gone. Let me save the program and right click, run as Java application, and you'll be able to see that class tester has inherited a from demo class by using extends keyword. Okay, and since a was a non-static variable which was present inside the test class virtually, so we had to create an object of test class, and using the reference variable of test class t, we can access that particular variable a. Okay, so this type of inheritance where there is only one class inheriting from one single parent class, okay, that type of inheritance is called as single level inheritance, and it is also known as is a relationship. Okay, so now let's come to what is multi-level inheritance. Okay, multi-level inheritance is something like when one class, okay, when one child inherits, let me write it here, when one child inherits from one parent, and in turn that parent inherits properties from its parent. Okay, let me just comment this line. Okay, so here let me write it like something like this. Okay, so let me just create one more class over here. Okay, let's say class testing. Okay, class testing extends, okay, test, open and close curly braces, like, okay. See guys, here what is happening is this is the child of test class, okay, and test is the child of demo. So testing, it extends test class to access the variable a which is present here virtually, and test class in turn it is taking that a value from demo class. Okay, so this is like a level 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. Okay, so this type of inheritance is called as multi-level inheritance. Okay, and now instead of creating an object of test class, what I can do is I can create an object of testing class. Testing, let me say the reference variable is t1 is equal to, we'll create an object of testing class like this using the constructor and the new keyword, and using t1 variable. Okay, using t1 variable, okay, here in line number 24 we have the value integer a equal to 100 present virtually, so we don't have to write any code. Okay, now let's save the program and let's print t100 as the answer. Okay, so this is how we demonstrate the multi-level inheritance. Okay, now coming to the third type of inheritance, okay, hierarchical inheritance. It is one parent and multiple children relationship. Okay, one parent and multiple children relationship, like this. Okay, so now what happens is here, this, let us consider this as the parent class for all the child classes. So here class test also extends demo, class testing also extends demo. So let me just create like this. Okay, see, now testing no longer is extending to test class anymore. So now testing is the child of demo, test is also the child of demo. Okay, now either you can create, see this object, either you can create for test class or testing class. So let me just create for test class as well. Test, or let me say t equal to new test, like this. And here what I'll do is I will print the a value using t dot a also, as well as t1 dot a as well. Okay, now let me save the program and let's run the code. Okay, so as you can see, 100 and 100, a and a, both are present in line number 21 and 25 virtually inside demo class and, sorry, inside test class and testing class. Okay, so this is an example for hierarchical inheritance. Okay, and now let's come to the fourth type of inheritance, that is called as hybrid inheritance. Okay, it is nothing but the combination of single level, multi-level and hierarchical inheritance. Okay, so now when one class inherits from another class, this is an example for single level. Okay, now testing class, if testing class, okay, let's say it takes from test class. Okay, so this becomes an example for multi-level inheritance. Okay, one class taking from its parent, and in turn that parent is taking from its parent. Okay, now let's have one more class. Okay, one more class, you can name anything. We'll name it as we'll make it as make or something like that. Okay, now class make also extends, let's say demo class, or let's say demo class. Okay, now what is happening is class make and class tester, multiple children's, they are extending from the same parent, that is the demo class. Okay, so this has the combination of all three types of inheritance programs, that is single level, multi-level and hierarchical. So the combination of all these three things is called as hybrid inheritance. Okay, and now in the sample class Okay, you can create an object of either test class, testing class, or make class to access that a variable. Okay, so let me just make an object of make class. I'll give it as make m equal to new make, like this, semicolon, and here I'll say system.out.println line m dot a. Now let's save the code, and let me just get rid of this extra white space. But okay, so that we can see the entire part of the code perfectly, like this. Okay, now this is the entire code for that. Let me save it and let's run the code once. Okay, so as you can see, the variable a is present in test class, testing class, as well as the make class. So this is an example for hybrid inheritance. Okay, now coming to the fifth type of inheritance, that is multiple inheritance. Okay, this is when one child inherits properties from multiple parent classes, multiple parent classes. Okay, see, this is possible only through interface. Okay, it is not possible through classes in Java. Okay, so when we come to the interface chapter, so we'll have a different chapter for that itself. Okay, but we'll have a example for multiple inheritance in interface chapters. Okay, so just remember, multiple inheritance is not possible. Okay, it's not possible through classes in Java, but it is possible if we create interfaces. Okay, so this is all about the first topic, okay, of OOPS concept, that is called as inheritance. So the next topic I want to talk about is constructors. Okay, so what is a constructor? The constructors are special members which are used to initialize data members of the class. Okay, and we have some rules which we have to follow in order to make the constructors. So suppose here I have a class called as demo, and the first rule of making a constructor is that constructor name should be same as class name. So here we have a class name called as demo, and outside the main function of demo class, if I have to create a constructor, then I will have to keep the same name like this. Okay, but with parenthesis, sorry, okay, with parenthesis like this, and it will have its own block statement like, okay, and here I'll simply say, okay, system.out.println, okay, uh, I am constructor of demo class, like this. Okay, now all we have to do is see constructors. Okay, constructors will not have any return type. See, this is the second rule. Okay, and the third rule is, and since they don't have any kind of return type, okay, they don't have any return value. See here at the left of this, I have not written give me integer value or something like that. Okay, we have just written the name, class name, along with parentheses. That's it. Okay, and we cannot return any kind of values for that. Okay, now all we have to do is we have to just create an object of the demo class. That's it. Okay, and this constructor will automatically invoke itself. Okay, now let's save the program and run it. Okay, so as you can see, it's saying I am the constructor of demo class. So whatever is written inside this one, okay, can be accessed or invoked just by creating an object of demo class. Okay, see here, we don't actually need the reference variable for demo class. See guys, the demo d1 is equal to new demo. This is not required. See, this left side part, okay, where we keep a reference variable, is not required. Okay, we are not worried about that part anymore. We are worried only about the new demo part. Okay, and one major important thing we have to remember is constructors are always, okay, are always non-static. Means static means single copy, non-static means multiple copies. Okay, so here you can't have the static keyword written before that, because constructors are always non-static. See, as soon as I wrote static, it gave me a red color underline saying that, okay, remove invalid modifiers. Okay, so these are the modifiers. Okay, so let me just remove that. Okay, now everything is fine and we have successfully created a constructor inside our class with the same name as class name. Okay, and we will invoke the constructor just by creating the object of the constructor. We are not going to create the reference variable for the constructor. Okay, so now this comes to the second topic in OOPS concept, that is called as constructor overloading. Okay, constructor overloading. So let me just write it here. Okay, so what does constructor overloading means? Constructor overloading means we have to create multiple constructors inside a class, but variation in argument list. Okay, see, this is called as constructor overloading. So let me just give you a demonstration. See, we have one constructor over here. Okay, and just like this, okay, I'm going to create one more constructor. Okay, and just like this, I'm going to create one more constructor. Okay, now I will say something like this. Okay, I am second constructor. Okay, I'm the second constructor of demo class. I'm the third constructor of demo class, like this. Okay, but in order to invoke this is enough. But here in the second constructor, what I'll do, I'll create a variable called as integer a inside the constructor as argument. Okay, we'll have to pass one argument, an integer argument, okay, which will invoke this constructor. Okay, and here let me pass two arguments like this, integer a comma int b. Okay, to invoke this particular constructors, I will have to pass two arguments. Okay, int a and int b, they can be any values. Okay, so now here now let me save this one and run it once and show you. See, right now it has invoked the constructor which takes no arguments, because we have not passed any kind of arguments over here. Okay, and now let us invoke that particular constructor like this, which takes one integer argument called as a. Okay, and that integer value can be anything, 1 2 20 30 40, anything. Okay, now let us run the program and see guys, this is from the line number 22, and this is from making the object of at line number 23. Okay, so this part is called as the constructor overloading. Okay, so you are overloading the work on that. Okay, so now let's invoke the constructor which takes two arguments. Okay, so now let's say demo and say 1 comma 1, and let's give semicolon at the last. Let's save it and let's run the code. Okay, run as Java application and see guys, here we have overloaded the work on the constructors. Okay, on the constructors. Okay, so this is how we do constructor overloading. Okay, now let's come to the next topic. Okay, that is called as method overloading. Okay, that is called as method overloading. But in order to do method overloading, okay, you should know how to create your own functions first. Okay, so let me just save this and close the file. Okay, let me just right click on src, go to new and create a package called as making underscore functions, and let's create our new class. Let's call it sample or something like that, which will be having a main function, and click on finish. Okay, now let's remove this auto generated stub. Let me save the program. And how to make functions means, see, in line number 5, as you are seeing, we have a main function which is public static void main. Okay, now whatever functions you are going to create, either it has to be above the main function or below the main function, but it has to be inside the sample class. Okay, see how they have created the main function. See, just like that only, let me just copy and paste the code over here like that only. Like, I'll open and close curly brace, but instead of their name, okay, I'll give my name. Okay, I'll name it as add function. Okay, and instead of passing string arguments, okay, I'll say I'll have no arguments inside that, but inside the function I'm going to take two variables, integer a equal to 10 okay, and integer b is equal to 20. Okay, and this function, okay, is going to print the values of a plus b for me. Okay, it's going to print the value of a plus b. Okay, please make sure that main function is also static, and we have also created a static function. So static functions can be called directly inside a class. Okay, so let me write it here: static variables, okay, and functions can be accessed inside a class directly. Okay, so let me just call the function. Okay, so this is the name we have kept, add along with this parenthesis. So you will have to write this name inside the main function and end it with a semicolon. Okay, so this is how you call or invoke the function, okay, inside the main function. Okay, if it's outside, then it won't get invoked. Okay, so now let me just save this one and run the code. Okay, so as you can see, our function, okay, add, it is printing the value of a plus b. Okay, that is line number 8. Okay, now let's say we don't have a static function, means this add function. Okay, let me keep this as add function itself, but what I'll do, I'll just copy this whole thing, okay, and paste it over here, and let's create, okay, a sub function. Okay, let's create a sub function which has a and b value, and it is going to give me the value for a minus, sorry, b minus a. Okay, so b value is 20, a value is 10, and it will give me 20 minus 10. Okay, now intentionally what I will do, I'll remove the static keyword from that particular function. Okay, now inside the main function, okay, if I say sub, okay, and put semicolon like this, okay, save it, and as you can see, there will be a red line under it saying that your sub function has to be static. It is giving you an option saying that change sub to static. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I have a non-static function which I want to access inside the main function. So what I'll do, I will have to create an object of sample class. Okay, for all the non-static variables, we will definitely have to create a object. So I'll say sample s equal to new sample s. Okay, and using s reference variable, okay, here s dot sub function I'm going to access. Okay, and now let's run the code, and we are getting the output as 10. Okay, so these are the functions. Okay, these are the two types of functions. Okay, one static function, another one is a non-static function. Okay, so for static functions we can call directly, for non-static functions we have to call it by the reference variable or the instance variable. Okay, now this is one type of function. Okay, so this is one type of function. Okay, it is without any parameter. Okay, without any parameters and no return statement. Okay, so these are that type of function. So now what we will do is we'll create functions with parameters and with a return type. Okay, with return type. Okay, now sorry, not return type, return statement. Okay, return statement, I'll write it here, return statement. Let me save it. Okay, now let me create a function. So let me say public void. Okay, or let's add the return statement later. Okay, so let me keep it as void itself. Okay, and let me say multiply. Okay, multiply this integer a value, okay, here itself, and integer b value. So this time I'm not hard coding the code anymore. Okay, see, this multiply function is there. Okay, here we will have to pass one variable for a and one variable as b, and this is not going to print anything. This is going to return you, okay, this is going to return the values of a star Okay, so whoever calls this function, it's going to return that value. Okay, but whatever is a and whatever is b, see, both are integer variables. So a multiplied by b, okay, we are going to get an integer variable, and that integer variable here, instead of void, we'll put it as int. So your function right now will give you an integer value. Okay, it is going to see, guys, it is going to return you an integer value which is a star b. Okay, and now since I have made it as a non-static function, so I can access it by using sum dot multiply, and for a I'm going to give it as 10, and for b I'm going to give it as let's say 3. Okay, like this. Okay, and now here, okay, in this line we would have got the result of that values. Okay, that is 10 into 3, 30 as the answer. Okay, that here I'm going to store it into integer result variable is equal to, and in next line we'll print out that result variable like this. Okay, and let's run the code. Okay, so as we are seeing on the screen, we have got 30 as the output. Okay, now if you don't want to store it in a third variable and then print it, okay, let me just comment this line out. Okay, what you can do is in the system.out.println line only, you can say s dot multiply. Okay, some values, let's say 10 comma 2. Okay, 10 is a parameter for a and 2 is a parameter for b. So let me just save it and let's run the code. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting 20 as the answer. Okay, so now let's uncomment these two lines as well, save it, and let's run it as Java application. Okay, so just Java application and done. Okay, so I don't want to add any kind of snippets, so that is taken care of. So now let me just save it, and this is how you're going to create your functions which will have some kind of a return value. Okay, see, this is the return statement, and this is the return type of that particular function which we write on the left side of the name of the function. Okay, our main function, see guys, our main function is not returning us anything. See, there is no return statement written over here in this part, so that's why we have written here void. Okay, but if it is returning something, then we will have to write the return type of that particular function. Okay, so this is how you create your own functions, okay, inside a class but still outside the main functions. Okay, now let's come to object oriented concept, that is method overloading. Okay, so now let me just make a new package for that. Let's say method overloading. Now let me just close this one, and let me just create a new class. Okay, let's say uh mobile. Okay, let's say mobile. Let's add public static void main and click on finish. Okay, now class mobile, okay, has the main function, and let's remove this. Okay, now what I'll do is I'm going to create a class called as WhatsApp. Let's open and close curly brace like this. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll create one function called as send message. Okay, so I will say public void. Okay, the return type I'm going to keep it as void. Okay, I'll say send message. Okay, and in order to send one message, you will have to give one integer value a as parameter. Okay, and it will print on the screen that sending one message. Okay, now this is a function. Okay, so this is a function send message which is present in the WhatsApp class, and it is non-static method, so that I need to print it inside the main function. So what we need to do is we have to create an object. Okay, WhatsApp. Okay, I'll keep w equal to new WhatsApp class like this. Okay, so we have successfully created this object for WhatsApp class having a reference variable called as w. Okay, now all we need to do is we have to say w dot send message and pass any one integer. Okay, it can be 1 2 3 4 anything. Okay, and when I run this code, okay, you are going to get an output saying that we are sending one message right now. Okay, and now what I'll do is inside that WhatsApp class only, okay, I'm going to create two more message two more methods with same name. Okay, but variation in argument list. Okay, here to invoke this second method, okay, we have to pass two variables, okay, int a comma int b as parameters. Okay, and it will give us the message as sending two messages. And here I'll say int b comma int c. Okay, this will send three messages. Okay, so this is how we do method overloading. Now in order to send only one message, you will have to pass one as parameter, or 2 3 4 anything. Okay, we will have to pass only one integer value. Okay, now if I want to pass okay, if I want to send two message means I will have to pass two integers. It can be 1 comma 1 1 comma 2 anything, but it has to be two integers. Okay, so now let me just run the code, and as you can see we are seeing the output called as sending two messages. Okay, now if I want to send three messages, I'll simply say 1 comma 1 comma 1 means here we have to pass int a int b and int c. So I'm saying 1 comma 1 comma 1. Okay, we can pass any integer. It can be 10 comma 1 comma 1 or 1 2 3 anything. Okay, it just has to be integers, that's it. Okay, now let's run the code. Okay, and as you can see we are sending three messages right now. Okay, so this is how you will be doing method overloading. Okay, you are increasing, okay, you are increasing the number of parameters to invoke that type of message which is present inside that particular class. Okay, so this is what is known as method overloading. So the next topic I want to talk about is called as method overriding. Okay, so let me just create a new package for that, saying overriding underscore method. So let me just create a new class called as laptop. Let's add the main function to that. Okay, now let's come in between the package statement and the class statement. And see guys, now let us say I have a class called as Casper Sky. Okay, Casper Sky antivirus is there. So let me create a class called as Casper Sky 1. Okay, open and close curly brace, and let us assume that there is a function. Okay, so let me say public void, okay, remove virus. Remove virus function is there. Okay, and this function, when it is invoked, okay, it prints something like this. Okay, see, I will say removes one virus at a time. Okay, so this is the implementation given for this particular function. So this is the implementation part, this is the declaration part. So let me write it like this. So this is called as function declaration. Okay, and whatever the big code which we write inside the function block, it is called as implementation. Okay, that is called as the implementation. Okay, now see guys, I will install that particular software in my laptop, that antivirus software. So let me just come top. Okay, so this is a non-static function which is present inside the Casper Sky class. Okay, so what I will do, I will have to create an object of Casper Sky. Let me give it as k1 equal to new Casper Sky, like this. Okay, and using k1 reference variable, okay, you can say, you can access that remove virus function. Okay, so now let me just run the code and very quickly see the output on the screen. See guys, now it says removes one virus at a time. Okay, but now what happens is just like this only. Okay, just like this. Okay, there will be a new class called as Casper Sky 2. Okay, which will extends, okay, which will extends to Casper Sky 1. Okay, which will extends to Casper Sky 1, and this function, okay, this function will automatically come here. Okay, this function automatically comes here. Okay, but this time what they would have done is they would have upgraded the capacity of this particular function. Okay, now they might say it removes like 1,000 viruses at a time. Okay, see, earlier its capacity was to remove only one virus at a time. Okay, now it removes like 1,000 virus at a time. Okay, now all you are supposed to do is, okay, you are supposed to make an object of Casper Sky 2 class. Okay, not Casper Sky 1 anymore, because we want the upgraded features. Okay, so you will have to change the class name to Casper Sky 2, and here constructor also Casper Sky 2, and here we'll change this reference variable to K2. Okay, now when you say K2 dot remove virus, okay, K2 dot remove virus from your laptop, and let's run the code, and it's going to say now we can remove 1,000 virus at a time. Okay, 1,000 virus at a time. So we get, okay, whenever method overriding happens, okay, method overriding happens, okay, we'll always get the overridden implementation. Okay, the old code will get removed and we get replaced by the new code. So this is how software update happen. Okay, now let's suppose you want this older implementation as well, okay, along with the newer implementation. Then what we do is we have something called as the super function. Okay, oh, super keyword actually. Okay, when I say super dot, okay, remove virus. Okay, remove virus. See guys, Casper is a child class of Casper 1. Okay, Casper Sky 1. Okay, so Casper Sky 1 is the super class, so that's why we are writing here the super keyword, because this implementation we want from the super class. So remove virus. Okay, so now when I save this and when I run the code, okay, I'll get both the implementation, that I can remove one virus also, and as well as it's been upgraded where it can remove 1,000 virus also. Okay, so this is how you are going to do method overriding. Okay, method overriding. Now let's come to the next topic, which is called as abstraction. Okay, abstraction. So let me just right click on src, go to new, create a package really fast called as abstract underscore programs. Okay, and let me just create a new class. Let's call this one as demo, and let's click on finish. Okay, now this demo class where public is there only you will have to create the main function. So let me add that main code. Okay, let's add the main code like this. Okay, now let's save this one and let's come in between the package statement and the class statement. Okay, so suppose there is a class called as calculate. Okay, let's suppose there is a class called as calculator. Okay, and it has one concrete method and one abstract method. Okay, so first let me write some concrete method. Okay, concrete methods are those where you can see the definition as well as its coding part. Okay, so here let me say this has a function called as void add or something. Okay, and this is the declaration part, so we can see the declaration as well as the coding part. So I will say the inside coding part is like this: integer a equal to 10 semicolon, then I'll say integer b equal to 20. Okay, and it should print a plus b value. See, like this is called as a concrete function or concrete method, where you can see the declaration as well as its implementation, that is the coding part. Okay, so this is called as concrete method. But if you see just something like this, if you say void sub open and close parenthesis and semicolon, okay, see guys, this is an abstract method. So this is an abstract method, so which will have abstract keyword written just left of that, and whichever class has this abstract method. Okay, see guys, here we cannot see any part of the coding of sub method, right? Okay, like this, we don't have any implementation for this sub method. Okay, and whichever class is having an abstract method, so here let me write it in comments like abstract method. Okay, abstract method sub. Okay, and whichever class is having an abstract method, so that class will be having abstract keyword written at the left of that. Okay, and usually we can make it as public as well. Okay, so that it can be accessed by other classes. Okay, so this calculator class is now an abstract class which is having an abstract method as well as concrete method. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to intentionally create a subclass or child class for this calculator. Okay, which will give implementation or the coding part for this sub method. Okay, so now all you have to do is you have to create a subclass. So let me just create it something called as sample or something, which extends, okay, the calculator class, open and close curly brace like this. Okay, and I don't know why I'm getting error. See, it is saying add unimplemented methods of your parent class. Means this is an unimplemented method. I don't see its implementation. Implementation means code. So it is saying add implementation to this particular function. So what you have to do is you have to write down that void sub function, okay, and give some coding inside that. Okay, and you have to give some coding. Okay, so how do we give coding? So I will say int a equal to, let's say, 10. Okay, then say int b is equal to 30. Okay, and let's print out some value, something like a b minus a or something. Okay, so this sub function is going to, so this is the coding part of this sub function which was there in calculator class. Okay, so why I'm still getting this sub function is because we'll have to change the methods visibility to public. Okay, so this function should be public so that anybody can access this sub function, okay, along with that particular coding. Okay, now let's remove this extra white spaces. We get rid of this also. Okay, now all we have to do is we have to create an object of sample class. Sample s is equal to new sample. Here s will be capital because it's a class name, like this. And using the s reference variable, I can access the sub function now, as well as s dot add function. Both I can access. Okay, so this is called as abstraction. Okay, so abstraction is nothing but, okay, hiding what is necessary and showing what and all we need to show. That's it. Okay, so here this is an abstract method where you can see only the declaration part, that is the name of the function, but you cannot see any kind of implementation part. Okay, implementation is nothing but the coding part. But every, okay, every abstract class, okay, will definitely have a child class like this, which will give implementation to all the abstract methods of that particular class. Okay, that is implementation means it will give some kind of a coding. Okay, and then whichever function, whichever class has the main function, there we will have to create an object of that particular child class, not the abstract class. Okay, not the abstract class. And using its reference variable, we can access all the abstract methods and concrete methods of the abstract class as well. Okay, so this is what is called as abstraction. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic, that is called as interface. Okay, so let me just close this file, and let me just right click here on the src, go to new, create a package called as interface programs. Okay, now let's create main class first. Okay, so let me create demo, add public static environment to that, and click on finish. Okay, now here, okay, what I'll do, I'll say interface. Okay, just like previous code itself, I'm going to create the same calculator class once again. Okay, calculator class once again. Okay, and in this time here, okay, here let me write it in comment first, that interface, okay, will have only abstract methods. Okay, it cannot have any kind of concrete methods. Okay, it will have only abstract method. See, like this, it will say void add parenthesis and semicolon, that's it. Okay, no concrete methods whatsoever. So it will have void subtract also, like this, that's it. Okay, and your interface is done. Okay, so what happens in an interface is, okay, if you have functions like this, okay, if you have functions like this, they automatically become public and they automatically become abstract. Okay, we don't have to mention this interface as abstract interface or something. Okay, it is already understood. Okay, but have a variables. Okay, like this, say suppose if I say integer a or integer b, something like this. Okay, so if you have any variable like this, let me just give it as 10 or 20 like this. Okay, what it does to the variable is it makes it final. Okay, which means we cannot change its code anymore. Okay, that becomes constant. Okay, so final word is added implicitly. It means internally it's going to get added to that. Okay, so now this is what happens to the variables and this is what happens to functions when we use the interface. Okay, and now let me write it here in comments. Okay, every interface will have a child class to give implementation for all the functions. Okay, all the methods, you can say it like this, all the abstract methods. Okay, so let me just create a child class, let's say it sample or something. Okay, and now this time when a child class inherits something from an interface, we write implements keyword and that interface's name we write calculator, like this, open and close curly brace and done. Okay, I think I have made okay, spelling mistake, that's it. Okay, and it is saying it gave a red color line and it is giving me an option saying that you have to add all the unimplemented methods of this calculator interface. Okay, which means you'll have to write the coding for this particular function. So let us write void add function is there. Okay, open and close curly brace for that. So I'll say enter integer a is equal to 10. Okay, then integer b is equal to 20. Okay, and this should print the values of a plus b on the screen. Okay, and just like that, for the void sub method, open and close curly brace for that. Okay, and let me say int a equal to 30 and int b is equal to 40, and one, let's say it prints the value of b minus a on the screen. Okay, and now let's save it, and still we have got an error for add and subtract as well. Okay, so this is because it will say that we have to change the visibility of this method as public. Okay, so public keyword has to be added. Okay, so that it can be accessed by other classes. Okay, so now let's remove this white line spaces. Okay, so that we can see the entire code properly. Okay, let me come here. Okay, and now let me just remove this auto generate tab, and here all we need to do right now is create the object of the child class, that is sample s equal to new sample, like this, and using the s reference variable we can access the add method as well as s dot sub method, like this. Let's save the program and run the program. Okay, so this can be done. This is the first way which it can be done. Okay, now why not create an object of the calculator itself and access from this interface itself? Okay, but in Java, okay, in Java we cannot create an object of, okay, interface. Okay, see, like this, it is not allowed. It is not allowed like this. Okay, this is the object part for this interface. Okay, so this is not allowed. So that's why we are getting this red color line. See, it is saying we cannot instantiate the type calculator because it's an interface. It's not a class. Okay, we can only create object like this for a class. But what we can do is a interface. Okay, see, interfaces reference variable. See, this part can point to its child classes objects like this. Okay, this can be done. Okay, see, now as reference variable, okay, as reference variable of this calculator class or interface can point to the object of its child classes. So that's why s dot add and s dot subtract will be accessible to us. Okay, now let me just get rid of the white space and let's save the coding and let's run. Okay, so both ways you can do it, but this line number 22 is not possible in Java. You cannot create an object of an interface in Java. Okay, so this is how this entire coding part is done. Okay, so this is what is called as making an interface. Okay, now when an interface inherits something from another interface, okay, let's say suppose here we have another interface. Let's say interface, okay, test is there. Okay, and it has integer m value, let's say 1000. Okay, integer m value which is 1000. See, let's say interface calculator wants something from interface tester. So all it has to do is it has to say extends test. That's it. Okay, and you have to have one child class for this particular interface called as calculator. Okay, so technically here we have that child class. Okay, and virtually this value m right now is present in this interface also, and it has now traveled to sample class as well. So using the s reference variable, okay, I can say I can access that m variable like this. Okay, and that will print it on the screen using system.out.println line s.m and put semicolon at the last. Okay, that's it. Save it and we can run the code. That's it. Okay, now this is how we can print all the values from any interface from its child class. Okay, so this is what is known as interface in Java programming. Okay, and now comes the topic of inheritance, and fifth type of inheritance which I was discussing earlier. Okay, so let me come to inheritance programs, and here, okay, see, as I was saying, inheritance, okay, is when one class inherits properties from another class. Okay, and I guess we have made some other programs as well, okay, based on interface itself. But okay, we'll okay, what we will do is we'll do the example for a multiple inheritance example. Okay, so now first what we'll do is we'll right click here, go to new, and we'll create the main class first. Okay, I'll say running. Okay, running is a class which I have created, and let's add public static void main to that. Okay, now let's say, okay, I have an interface called as a, okay, which has some integer value a equal to 10. Okay, and just like that I have interface capital B, open and close curly brace, and it has an integer value int b equal to 20. And we'll create one more interface, okay, called as capital C, open and close curly brace, which has integer c value 30. Okay, now let's say we have one interface, okay, called as D, which wants a from 10, b from interface B, c from interface capital C. So all it has to do, it has to say extends Okay, when an interface takes something from another interface, we use extends keyword. So you will have to say a comma b comma c, open and close curly brace. That's it. Okay, now the value of a will get traveled from interface a, b from b, and c from c class, sorry, interface. Okay, see, this is the example for multiple inheritance in Java. Okay, this is not possible through classes, it's only possible through interface. Okay, so what, as far as my previous code goes, okay, for every interface, okay, we will have a child class. Okay, so I'll say d underscore imp. Okay, because this will be the implementation class. Okay, and we will have to say implements, okay, capital D, like this. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to create a object of the d underscore imp class. So let me keep it as uh, imp equal to new constructor, like this. Okay, so we have created class called as d underscore imp, and now we have created an object. Okay, and imp is the reference variable for that. So using the imp variable, reference variable, I'm going to access the a variable as well, which we got it from interface a, imp dot b variable, which we got it from interface b, imp dot c, which we got from interface C. Okay, so all three of them will print it on the screen using the system.out.println line. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it over here and here as well. Okay, and here let me just change this to B and then this one to C. Okay, now save the code and run the file. Okay, so this is how we do multiple inheritance in Java using interface. Okay, it is not possible using classes. Okay, so let me just close this one and let's move on to the next topic, that is called as encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation. Okay, so first let's create a new package. Okay, so I'll say encapsulation class, encapsulation programs. Let me keep it as programs. Okay, and then come to new, create a class. Okay, class, I'm going to call this one as users. Okay, you should be capital, and let's add public static environment to that. Okay, and now let us assume, okay, see, there is a class called as Gmail, class Gmail, open and close curly brace for this one. Okay, and let's assume in this Gmail class, okay, you have two private variables. Okay, two private variables. So I'll say private, okay, string username, and private string password. Okay, private means no other class can access that variable even if they create an object of that. See, let me just show you. Class users wants the username and password from Gmail class. So if I say Gmail, okay, G equal to new Gmail, like this. Okay, and if I say system.out.println using the G variable, say username, okay, say username, G dot username, and since this is private, okay, you cannot access the private elements. Okay, see, you cannot access the private elements in another class. See, user cannot access the Gmail class's username. Okay, see, it is saying change the visibility of username to either package or public or something like that. See, if it was public, okay, see, if it was public, okay, let me save it and see, guys, that red color line went off and you could access, now you can access the user variable, okay, username variable. Okay, see, let me just show you both of them. See, if I say g dot password, okay, g dot password, see, we have got the red color line underneath that. Okay, we cannot access password variable because it is private. Okay, and we can access g.username because now we have made it as public. Okay, so now let me just run it and show you very fast. Okay, see, now it is saying null because we have not added any kind of uh, value to that. Okay, now what encapsulation does is, okay, you will be having private variables inside your class like this. You have string username and string password, something like that. Okay, now what you are supposed to do is, okay, this two private variables you have to make it public, okay, using setters and getters method. Okay, setters and getters method. Okay, see, whatever the name you have taken for your variable, okay, what method name you will put for setter is, first it will say set and then whatever name you have kept, like this. Okay, we'll have a function like this. Okay, and to get that username we'll have get in front of the username, and it would have created public methods. Okay, earlier we had private, this time it will make public, like this. Okay, and the return type of this get username will be whatever data type you have mentioned over here. Okay, so public string is a user return type of this get username function. Okay, and it will return you your username, like this. Okay, and for the setter function, okay, what it will do, it will create a variable called as username itself, okay, inside that function. Okay, and whatever the new username comes, okay, that it is going to get stored, okay, in the old username. See, this is the global username, okay, and this is the local username. See, this one on the right side is this portion, and this left side portion is this global username variable. Okay, but since both the names are same, okay, so what we will do is, on the left side we use this keyword. Okay, this dot username is this top one. Okay, this is this right side one. Okay, so this is how I will set a new username. Okay, and this return type of this particular function will be void. Okay, we don't have to return anything. See guys, private, okay, private username became public, set username public, get username. Okay, so that is called as setters and getters method. Okay, and just like this only, for password also you have to make getters and setter function. Okay, and in Eclipse you can do this directly by going to source. Okay, then here you get generate getters and setters. Okay, you can directly click on that. It will ask whether to create for password field, yes. Okay, and whether to create it after get username or whatever it is. Okay, I'll just simply say as a after the last member. Okay, now see guys, here it says public and you just click on OK. Okay, now it has made two methods. One is get password, another one is set password. Okay, and it has created a variable called a string password that is on the right side, and this dot password is the one which is at the top. Okay, now all you have to do, okay, inside the user class main function is you have to create an object of Gmail class. Okay, and try to fetch your username and password. Okay, so now if I say like this, okay, g dot get username, okay, and this one let us print on the screen this out. Okay, system.out.println g dot get username, close the bracket and parenthesis, and just like this only, okay, I'm going to say get password also. Okay, g dot get password function is there, I'm going to call that one as well. Okay, now if I run this code right now, okay, hey guys, let me go to the top, and at line number 4 and 5 we have not given any kind of default username and password, so we are getting it as null and null. Okay, now what we will do is we will set okay, we'll set new passwords and new username. Okay, we'll set new username and password, okay, using the setter function. So let me come to the, like this, using setter methods, you can say. Okay, so g dot set username is there, okay, and in double quotes, okay, since it's a string variable, okay, I will say ECODERS. This is the new username, okay. Then I will say g dot set password as ABC123. Okay, now after setting the new username and new password, we will get the username and password again by using the get method or getter methods. Okay, so in this outline, I will say g dot get username, come to the next line and say sys out, okay, g dot get password. Now let's save it and let's run the code. Okay, so right now we have new username, that is ecoders, and password abc123. Okay, so this is called as encapsulation, and this class, okay, in which we will make private members but restrict their direct access and provide them indirect access through public services like setters and getters method, is known as encapsulation. Okay, and this particular class is also called as, so let me write it here in comments, called as bean class. Okay, and these are your beans, private elements. Okay, so these are your beans. So this is called as encapsulation. Okay, now moving forward to the next topic. Okay, and this is the last topic in oops concept, that is called as polymorphism. Okay, so let me just close this one and let me just create a new package saying polymorphism programs, and let me just create a new class, okay, called as sample, and let's add a main function to, okay, so whichever class is having the main, okay, that function will be having public. Okay, so public static void main will be having public as the access specifier. Okay, we have four access specifiers. Okay, public is one of them. Okay, now polymorphism. So first let me write here in comments. Okay, polymorphism, okay, is nothing but how the object takes, okay, multiple, okay, you can say it like this, multiple roles in its life cycle. Okay, throughout its life cycle is known as polymorphism. Okay, we have two types of polymorphism. Okay, one is called as, let me write it here. Okay, one is called as compile time polymorphism. Okay, so its definition is like this. So when methods declaration gets binded to its definition at compile time. Okay, that's known as compile time polymorphism. And since it is happening at compile time, means it is also called as early binding. Okay, and once binded, it cannot be binded again and again. Okay, cannot be binded again and again. We cannot do this. Okay, and best example for compile time polymorphism is method overloading. Okay, so method overloading. So in the previous sessions I have given the example for method overloading, so I'm not be doing a method overloading example, but I will come to the second type of polymorphism for which we'll be writing the code for today, that is called as runtime polymorphism. So let me write like this, morphism. Okay, runtime polymorphism is nothing but, okay, when methods declaration. Okay, so let me write it as methods declaration, okay, getting binded with its definition, okay, definition at runtime, okay, that is called as runtime polymorphism. And method overriding, okay, method overriding is the perfect example for polymorphism, and that too runtime polymorphism. Okay, and it is also called as late binding because it is happening at runtime. Okay, and once binded it can be binded again and again, like this. Okay, so these are the two types of polymorphism we have in Java. Okay, so these are the two types of polymorphism. Okay, now to demonstrate runtime polymorphism with an example. Okay, so let me just right click on the package and create a new class. Okay, and here let me create a class called as users, and let me add public static requirement to that, and let's click on finish. Okay, now this is an example for runtime polymorphism, so let me just write here in comments. Okay, example example for runtime polymorphism code. So let me come here and say, suppose we have a class called as manufacturer. Okay, and inside this manufacturer class, okay, let's say there is a function called as uh, sell laptop. Okay, we have a function called as sell laptops, and it says like this, system.out.println, we sell laptops. Okay, we sell laptops. Okay, now in between the users and the manufacturers, okay, see there will be a lot of laptop companies who want to sell their company's laptop. Okay, see, let's take an example like this. Okay, see, let's suppose there is a class called as Dell, okay, who also wants to sell laptop. Okay, so what it will do, it will extend some, okay, to the manufacturer. Okay, and it will get this particular function inherited and put over here. Okay, now what it will do, see, here we have single level inheritance. Okay, see, single level inheritance. Okay, single level inheritance. And when you have got this function from manufacturer, what the Dell people will do is they will say we sell Dell laptops. Okay, see, they have overridden the code. So here what they are doing is they are doing method overriding. Okay, they are doing method overridden. Okay, so we are going to get the overridden implementation. Okay, now as a user what you will have to do is you will have to just create, or you just like in English terms, if you say I'm going to the Dell showroom, and see, this is like going to Dell showroom, that is creating an object of Dell, and using D reference variable, if I now call sell laptop method, okay, sell laptop method, and if I run this code right now, okay, we can say save all. Okay, now it will say we sell Dell laptops. Okay, we sell Dell laptops, and just like Dell company, Okay, and just like Dell company itself, let me copy and paste the code, and let's say we have Asus company. Okay, so that also will extend the manufacturer. They will capture the cell laptop function from there, and they will also remove the code and say we sell Asus laptop. Okay, now as a user, okay, all you have to do right now is create an object of the Asus laptop. Let's say A equal to new Asus. Okay, and if you want Asus laptop, not Dell laptop, means you'll have to comment this line, and here you will have to say A dot sell laptop. That's it. Okay, earlier you were purchasing the Dell laptop, now you are purchasing the Asus laptop. Okay, see, this is how the code is getting changed based on the reference variables of either the Dell class or Asus class. But now let's say, okay, in between these users and these showrooms, okay, we have a separate class, okay, called as Amazon. Okay, we have a separate class called as Amazon, okay, who has a function, okay, called as sell everything. Okay, who has a function called as sell everything. Okay, now what he will do is he will capture the reference variable of directly from the manufacturer. Okay, and keep it as a reference variable here. Okay, manufacturer M. Okay, now this manufacturer M, okay, is going to call sell laptop functions for us. Okay, sell laptop functions for us. Okay, now instead of going to like this Dell showroom or Asus showroom, so let me just remove those things. Okay, so what we will do is we will go to Amazon website. Amazon A Z equal to new Amazon, like this. Okay, so we have created an object of Amazon class. Okay, so when I'm saying AZ dot sell everything, okay, now it is saying what do you want to purchase, which laptop you want to purchase. Okay, this M variable here, okay, it is saying which laptop you want to purchase, Asus one or Dell one. So now what we will have to do here, we will have to pass the reference variable of Dell class, that is D, in order to purchase Dell laptop. Okay, so now here technically this M became D, so let me write it here in comments D, and here technically D is calling the cell laptop like this. Okay, see, now our M is acting like D. Okay, because we have passed the D reference variable in place of M. So manufacturer D, so D sell laptops, but the name here is M. So M is acting like D. Okay, so this is also a term which is called as duck typing. Okay, so now if I run this code right now, okay, I'm going to get Dell laptops. We sell Dell laptops. Okay, but if I remove this D from here and pass A, that is the reference variable of Asus class. Okay, let's save the program and let's run the program. Okay, and you are going to get we sell Asus laptop. Okay, we sell Asus laptop. Okay, so this is the perfect example. Okay, this is the perfect example for runtime polymorphism in Java. Okay, and this topic concludes all the object oriented programs or object oriented topics in Java. So let's move on to the next topic. So let me just close these files. Okay, and we'll take a different topic now. So the next topic I want to discuss about is uh, exception handling. So let me just right click on SRC, go to new and create a package called as exception programs. Okay, now let's right click on the exception programs, go to new and create a class called as sample. and let's add main function for that and click on finish. Now what I'll do is I'll take integer variable a, which is let's say 7, okay, and integer variable b, which is equal to 2, okay, and let's try to print the value of a divided by b. A forward slash b will give me the division for this particular variables a and b. So let me just save the program and let's run the program. Okay, so I'm getting the answer as 3. Now let's suppose by mistake, okay, we have written 0 as the b value and we are trying to run the code like this. Okay, see guys, instead of giving me some kind of an output or something, okay, so it is saying I have got an exception, okay, in the main thread, okay, that is something called as arithmetic exception. Okay, that is that forward slash means divide. Okay, that you are trying to divide something by 0. Okay, and at this line number 10 in the sample.java class. Okay, see, these are the exceptions, okay, which stops the program from running anymore. Okay, see guys, now let's say it says line number 10. See here, line number 10 is the error. So I'll just go and change the b value to 2. Okay, and after line number 10 also, let us write some code saying that program ended here, like this. Okay, now let me run the code. Okay, and you are seeing program ended here and 3 are getting printed on the screen. Okay, now let's intentionally make this b value as 0 and save it, and let's run the code. Okay, see guys, this line is the error. Okay, this line is the error where we are trying to divide something by 0, but here we don't have any kind of error. Okay, so what this exception will do is wherever the error comes, okay, it will terminate the program then and there itself, and it will not go to the further statements. Okay, it will completely stop the execution of the program. Okay, so what we need to do is, okay, even if there is an error in this statement, okay, we should handle that kind of errors or exceptions, and we should allow the code to move to the next part of the code. Okay, it should not stop the coding. So in order to do this, we use the try catch block. Okay, so whichever code, see, whichever line is trying to give us the error, we should write it inside the try block like this. Try, open curly brace and close the curly brace after this particular statement. Okay, and here we'll have to say I'm going to catch this kind of exceptions using the class called as exception. Okay, and we'll have one reference variable, we can name anything, ex. Okay, and the catch also will be having a block like this, and using ex, okay, using the reference variable ex, we'll have to call the print stack trace method. Okay, so stack is nothing but the entire program, and it is going to trace your entire program, and it will print what sort of error you were trying to do. Okay, like this we are saying, okay, that if this line gives us any error, we will catch those errors, and we can only print our statement like, okay, we can only print our statement saying that, okay, we were doing some mistake while dividing. Okay, while dividing. Okay, like this, you want, you can also print your own messages on the screen. Okay, now let's save the program and let's run it. See guys, still there is error on the screen in our code. Okay, but this time if you write your code inside the try catch block like this, okay, you're not going to see this kind of error messages on the screen, and the code will go and execute the next lines of codes. Okay, so now let us run the code. Okay, see guys, now also it is saying that you have error. Okay, and it has also printed whatever we have printed here in line number 15, and it didn't stop the execution of the program. See, it went to the next line and it has printed program ended here. Okay, now if there is no error, see, let's suppose I change the b value to 2, but still I have written the code inside try catch block. Okay, so this line is not going to give any kind of error, so it is not going to catch that error. Okay, automatically it will go to the next line. Okay, so this line will not get printed this time because there is no error in our code. So I'll right click run as Java application, and you are seeing like this. Okay, so this is how you handle the code which you think which might give an error. Okay, and that code you will have to write it inside the try block. Okay, and whatever exception comes, okay, see, last time it was saying like arithmetic exceptions. Okay, see, these are the arithmetic operations which you have done wrong. Okay, but there is an inbuilt class called as exception. Okay, which will handle all types of exceptions. So I'm using that class name over here. Okay, and ex. Okay, ex is the reference variable which we have kept for the exception class, and inbuilt print stack trace is the function which we are going to call to check where that exception occurred in our program. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the try catch block. Okay, now while using try catch block, okay, there is one more block. Okay, that is called as finally block. Okay, see, finally block is something. Okay, see guys, this statement, okay, this statement, if I write it in finally block, let's say open, and let's come to the and close it like this. Okay, finally ll. Okay, see, no matter if this error, okay, see, this error, whether it is handled or not, okay, it will not care. It will print this statement. Okay, it will print whatever you have written inside the finally block. Okay, so now save it and let's run it. See, right now we don't have any kind of error. Okay, but then also this line is getting printed. Okay, now if we intentionally make this b value as 0, save it, and if I run the code, okay, see, it is saying that we have done some kind of a division by 0 error at line number 8, but then also this thing, okay, this line will 100% get executed. Okay, it doesn't have to wait for you to catch the exception errors and all those things. Okay, no matter if it's handled or if it is not handled, okay, it's going to take care of this particular code and it will print on the screen. Okay, so this is how you do exception handling for all the Java code or all the risky code in your Java programs. Okay, so now let's close this file. This statement is also not required. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic I want to talk about is arrays. So let me just right click on src, go to new and create a package called as array programs. PRAMS. Okay, now let's create a class. Okay, let's call it demo or something, and let's add main function inside that one. Click on finish, and let's remove this. Here inside the main function, see, suppose guys, I want to have the like one variable. I can take integer 10 or something like that. Okay, now if I have multiple values I want to store, see, suppose I have taken something called as b, but I want to store 10 also, then 20 also, then 30 also, and 40 also. Like this, multiple values I want to store. Okay, in that case, I won't be able to store inside one variable like this. Okay, but if you say integer b is an array, see, square brackets is the symbol for array. Okay, and on the right side, if I use curly braces, okay, and close the curly brace like this, okay, it becomes the array. Okay, it is an integer type of array, okay, in which I can store as many numbers as possible if you leave this one empty over here. Okay, see, I can keep on increasing values like this. Okay, and since b is an integer type of array, I'll be able to store only integers in this. Okay, and just like this, if you want to store only double values, okay, so you will have to say double integer a1 or something like that, or let me just keep it as d1. Okay, t1, okay, it's an array, okay, it's an array, and use the curly brace symbols again, and this time, okay, you will have to store all decimal numbers itself. So go to 0.45, something like this, 35.23, something, anything, okay, and then 5.67. Okay, see, like this we can create as many arrays as possible, okay, using different data types, okay, using different data types. Okay, now let's suppose this is not required. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, see, suppose I have this integer b array, okay, and if I say system.out.println b square bracket of 0, okay, see guys, this value is at 0 index, this is at 1, 2, 3 and 4, so totally 5 elements starting from 0 to 4. Okay, so we'll print only the first element, that is 10, from the B array. So let me just save the program and run it as Java application, and you are going to see 10 printed on the screen. And suppose if I want to print 20, I'll just remove 0 from there and put it as 1, and you can print that as well. Okay, so now we are getting 1, and let's say we want to print all of them, and you have to then write all 5 statements like this and change the value from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is how you can print all the values one by one using the sysout line, that is the system.out.println line. But if you have a very long array, okay, then this is not feasible. Okay, writing like this will not help you out. So what we will do is we'll write a for loop. Okay, I'll say integer I to start from the 0 index. See, this is the 0 index value. Okay, then we will say I should be less than, okay, this b dot length, okay, b dot length. So whatever the length of this one is, okay, that is 5, it should be one number minus that. Okay, so b dot length will be 5. Okay, so less than 5 means 4 only. I should be less than or equal to 4. Okay, so like this, and I plus plus, and inside this for loop in the system.out.println line, okay, we'll say print all the values of b of I. So b0, b1, b2, b3, b3, b4. Okay, so let me comment out the previous code and let's print all the values, okay, from start till end. Okay, so this is how you can print all the values. Okay, now if you want, you can print those values in reverse also. So let me just copy paste this code, and I will say like this: I, you should start from b dot length, okay, length minus 1, because I want to start from the 4th index, and b should be greater than or equal to the 0 index. Okay, and then here I would say I minus minus, and then you print all the values of p of I from reverse direction. Okay, so now let me just run the code, and as you can see from here we have printed the entire array 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10. Okay, so this is how you are going to store, okay, your array values like this using square brackets and curly braces. Okay, now one more thing you should know, that if you leave this portion empty, then you can add as many numbers as you want. But suppose if you create an array A like this and say you can add only like 4 elements inside that. Okay, and now you are saying that we have a curly brace, which here I'm going to put 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, 11, 22, 33, 44. Okay, so this is perfectly correct. Okay, now let us do one more thing. I will say integer c is an array. Okay, integer c is an array, okay, which can hold 5 elements. Okay, but here in curly brace I will use only one element, that is 111. This is perfectly correct. Okay, this is perfectly correct. Okay, see, it says syntax errors 4. Okay, okay, so here we have made one small mistake. Okay, that is, see, whenever we are taking an array like this, okay, you will have to say something like this, that is, a of integer a is there, Okay, so I'm going to create a new array that is a of this much size called as 4. Okay, see, this is how we give the size value. Okay, this is how we give the size value. Okay, and here we will have to mention what type of change to int it is saying. Okay, so I'm saying I'm going to create an array. Okay, integer array of size 4. Okay, and then you can enter 4 values into this particular array, like that. Okay, so here let me do something like this. So I'm going to say new integer array which can hold 5 elements. Okay, which can hold 5 elements, and we can remove this part. Okay, so this is how we can create a arrays where we already know the size. Okay, we already know the size, but here if you leave this place empty and you use your curly braces like this, and you can use as many variables as possible. Okay, so the, both the syntax, okay, both the syntax is perfectly fine. Okay, so this is how you use to declare and initialize all the values inside an array and print all the values one by one using for loop. Okay, so coming to the next topic. Okay, why we intentionally took array classes right now is because the next topic, okay, is collections framework. Okay, is collections framework. So let me just right click on src, go to new, create a package called as collection programs, collection underscore programs. Okay, and let me just create the first class inside that one called as sample, say mple. Okay, so let's add our main function inside this class. Okay, so we have our main function as well. Okay, so whenever I'm doing collections, okay, I'm going to use 4 interfaces. Okay, that is list, queue, queue, set, and map. Okay, see, these are the 4 interfaces which we have in collection framework. Okay, and just above top of these, okay, we have our collection interface. Okay, we have collection interface. Okay, list, queue, set, and map. Okay, they take all the properties from the collection interface. Okay, now there are few methods, okay, inside the means there are inbuilt classes, okay, which inherit some properties from list interface, and they are array list. Okay, array list is a class. Okay, let me write it here at the right hand corner that these are interface. So these are the inbuilt interfaces which we have in Java, and collections is also an interface in Java. Okay, but right now what we are writing here is the classes which inherits properties from these interfaces. Okay, so let me write it like this. Okay, and array list, okay, is one of the classes which inherits properties from list interface. Then we have vector, okay, array list, okay, and vector. These are the two classes which inherits properties from list interface. Okay, I'll list down all the interfaces. Okay, and there is one more called as linked list. Okay, we have one class called as linked list. Okay, so in queues we have priority queue. Okay, priority queue is the class, okay, which inherits properties from the queue interface. So let me write it here like this. Okay, and even this linked list class also takes that property. Okay, so let me write it here, linked. Okay, so these are the 3 classes which inherits properties from list, but the linked list class will take properties from list as well as queue class. Okay, then just like that we have set interface. So we have has set class. Okay, then we have let me come just below this one and say we have linked has set. it has set class, and the last one, okay, that is called as preset. Okay, then we have preset class. Okay, next let's come to map. Okay, let's come to map interface. Okay, map interface is implemented by hash map, hash hash map class. Then we have linked hash map class. Then finally we have the tree map. Okay, so one by one we'll go through all of these classes and what exactly are those properties which are inherited from list, queue, set, and map. Okay, so now what we'll do is preset. So let me just bring it back over here. Okay, and so now, so let me come here. Okay, so we are inside the main function. Okay, or let us do one thing, or let us keep this okay, outside our class, right? Only the code part inside the class. Come here. Okay, so right now we have a class sample, okay, which has this public static void main, and we are ready to start our coding. Okay, so first class, okay, I'm going to use is array list. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say array list. Okay, see, I'll say al is equal to new array list, like this. Okay, and array list class, we can get it from java.util package. Okay, so what properties array list class has is we can use all the properties of list interface. So those properties are like this. Using al, there is one add method. Okay, see, add method can be used to store any type of integers. Okay, any type, any data type. See, I can say a1 dot add an integer, then a1 dot add a decimal place number. Okay, then I will say a1 you add a character as well. Okay, see, let me say C is that character which I want to add. Okay, and I will say a1 dot add even a string value called as hello or something, which I'll give it in double quotes. Okay, and see, now what it is saying is, okay, it says create a local field called as a1 or al. Sorry, it's al. Okay, it's not a1, al. Okay, both of them looks okay. Now see, this is one of the properties, okay, where I can store heterogeneous type of data. Okay, see, in the previous programs, as I showed you, in array we can store, if it's an integer type of an array, we can store only integer values. If it's double values, we can store only double values. Okay, that is double decimal number. But if you use collections, okay, if you use collections and especially array list class, okay, first of all what you can do is you can store heterogeneous type of data. That is one of the properties of list interface. And using the same reference variable al, okay, you can store duplicate elements as well. See, 10 I will store two times. Okay, two times I will store 10. And if you want, okay, you can store null values also, means empty spaces. Okay, so you can store heterogeneous data, you can store duplicate data, and even you can store null values if you want. Okay, then finally when you have added all the elements in your collection, just you have to say print that al. Okay, al is a reference variable which knows everything about the sample class and all these variables which you have added inside your collection using the array list class. Okay, now if I run the code, okay, if I run the code, you will be seeing an array, okay, an array of elements which is integers, which is characters, which is strings, even decimal place number, and it can have null values. Okay, so these are the properties of array list class, vector, and linked list. Okay, and now let me run this code and show you the output once again. Okay, see guys, this is the output. Okay, so this is the output. Okay, now the same thing can be done using vector class also. Now all you have to do is change this array class list class name and make a object of vector class. Okay, and vector class also you have to get it from java.util package. Okay, that's it. Now save the program and run the code. Okay, so you are going to get the same output, because array list, vector, and linked list, all of them, they take the properties from the list interface. Okay, so here either you can make a class of array list, linked list, okay, or the vector. Okay, so let me just say linked list, import it from java.util package, save it, and run the code. Okay, and one of the advantages of using linked list is because we'll be having nodes in between the you can say links between the nodes, you can say. Okay, which means I can store any value. Okay, I can store any value, okay, in any manner, and that will be the sequence which will get shown to me on the output screen if I use linked list. Okay, so if I run this code right now, see guys, I put 10 and 10 at the first okay, 17, line number 17 and 18, and that is the exact same thing which we are seeing on the screen right now. Okay, so these are all the properties which we get from the list interface. That is, first of all, we can store homogeneous data. Then second property is we can store duplicate data, and we can also store null values if you want. Okay, so these are all the properties of list interface. Now coming to the queue interface, okay, where priority queue is one of the classes. Okay, and now all you have to do is you just have to make an object of priority queue class. Okay, like this, import that also from the same java.util package. Okay, java.util package, and using the same reference variable, you add all the values inside that. Okay, now just like list only, okay, queue also has some properties. Okay, and those properties, first property is we can store homogeneous type of data, means we can store anything. Okay, it can be a string, it can be decimal numbers, it can be characters, it can be string values, or anything. Okay, even we can store duplicate values. Okay, see, we are storing duplicate values, but only thing we cannot do is we cannot store null values. Okay, in queues, so queues will not store null values. If I try to run this program as well, okay, we are going to get this error on the screen. Error is nothing but the exception. Okay, is just the exception. It is saying we have class cast exception. Okay, at line number 20. Okay, it says line number 20. Okay, it's saying first of all at line number 20 it is saying 3.43. It's like you will have to make it as like a double variable or something like that. Okay, so that we will take care, but we will first have to remove this part of the code. Okay, because it will not allow duplicates. Sorry, it will not allow null values. Queues will not allow null values. Okay, and priority queue. Okay, priority queue. Okay, we have to understand one more thing, that priority queue, it will try to sort out. Okay, it will sort all the values, but if we have 3.4, a character, and a string, then how it will sort all the values? Okay, how it's going to sort all the values? So for this reason, why we are getting that error is like this. I have to comment it out. Okay, and make this class as generic class. Generic class means here, like this, in square brackets we will have to mention that I am going to give only integer values. So integer is an inbuilt class in Java. Okay, so that's why I is in capital, and that portion you will have to write it here as well, like this, in square brackets. Okay, and see, now we'll be able to store as many integers values as we want. Okay, and let's say I'm storing here the first value as 20, then 10, then 40, then 30. Okay, and then just to show you guys, I'll just simply add that null value also. Okay, so priority queue does not allow null values. Okay, so now let me just run this code. Okay, and see, it is saying null pointer exception, means there is nothing there. Okay, see, there is nothing in sample class, line number 25. See, you are pointing, AL is pointing to something which is blank, so I'm not going to allow that to happen. Okay, so now let me just comment that line and now say run the code. Okay, see guys, priority queue is fully sorted, means 10, 20, 40, 30 it's selling. Okay, so it is 10. Okay, it is trying to sort those numbers accordingly. Okay, so this is how priority queue is going to work. Okay, now let's come to set. Okay, so all you have to do is just how you have created the object of other classes. I'll create an object of has set. Okay, and h has set here also. I'll make this as like this. If you want, you can make it generic, but this time I don't want to make it generic, and I'll remove that integer class from there. Okay, hash set also you have to get it from java.util package. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll add some integer values 10, 20, 30, and 40. Okay, this is not required, so I'll just remove it off. Okay, and what I'll do is intentionally I will add 10 three times. Okay, I'm adding 10 three times, 20, 30, 40. So totally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 elements are there in my set. Okay, and I'm using has set class. Okay, has set class, and let's run this code. Okay, see, has set has a property where it will not allow duplicate value. Okay, set will not allow duplicate values, and that property is inherited by these three classes, that is has set, linked has set, and tree set. Okay, and has set, as I said, it will not allow duplicate. Okay, but what if I use linked has set? Okay, and first before using linked has set, let me run this program again and again. Okay, see, it's saying 20, 40, 10, 30, but I have stored 10, 20, 30, 40, means it is not in a sequence. Okay, let me rerun it once again. Okay, see guys, now it's saying 20, 40, 10, 30, something like that. Okay, but when you use a linked, okay, so wherever linked will come. Okay, so assume that whatever sequence you want, okay, that will appear on the screen. Okay, so linked has set also will get it from, okay, linked has set. Okay, change it to, okay, linked has set. Okay, change it to has set from java.util. Okay, I think I did a spelling mistake over there. Okay, now this is the sequence 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, see, it will not allow duplicates, but it will maintain whatever the sequence I have written down. Okay, see guys, now whatever the sequence which I had written was 10, 20, 30, 40. So now it is coming in that same order 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, and tree set. Okay, tree set is the one which will not allow duplicates. Okay, now intentionally what I'm doing is I'm putting 20, and here I'm putting, let's say, 40, and at the last I have 30. Okay, at the last I have 30. It's not in an order or anything. And this time let me use the tree set. Okay, the tree set class. So let me just create an object of tree set like this. Okay, and let us import it from the java.util package. Okay, now tree set is completely sorted. Okay, so let me just refresh and run the code. Okay, see guys, tree set has removed all the duplicates, and it has fully sorted my collections. Okay, like this we are going to use all the classes one by one. Okay, and now coming to map, which has properties like when you have two things to store, like one is the name of the person, then his phone number. So you have to use map in that case. So let us use hash map. Okay, let us use hash map like this. Okay, let us create a object of hash map. So let us do like this, and here in hash map we have to mention first value will be the string, and the next value will be an integer value, integer. Like this, two things I'm going to mention, the key and this is the value. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it over here as well. Okay, so now using a1, okay, using a1 you have to put some values, you don't have to add some values, you have to put some values. Okay, so the first value I'm going to put is the name of the person. See, let's say his name is Ram. Okay, and his phone number is integer value, so something will put it like this. Okay, and just like this, okay, just like this, let me copy this line. Okay, let me just get rid of this. Okay, so when we have key value pair, okay, we'll do something like, okay, so let me tell here Tom. Okay, and here let me say Sita, and here let me say Rita. Okay, and we'll change some phone numbers for them. Here I'll simply, here let me say 44. Okay, so when we have a key value pair, okay, so like name and their contact numbers, okay, then we will go with a map interface. Okay, and this property is inherited by a class called as hash map. Okay, and let's run this application, and as you can see, we have Rita 444, Sita, numbers like this, Sham and Ram. Okay, key value pair, key value pair. Okay, and as you noticed, okay, so let me run this again. Okay, see, the first value I put was Ram, but it is displaying Rita. Okay, but if you want in your own sequence, okay, then you have to use the linked one. Okay, that is called as linked hash map. Okay, so now let me just make an object of the linked hash map. Okay, and let's import it from java.util package. Okay, and whatever sequence we have written, we will get that itself. Okay, so now let me just run the code, a Java application, and as you can see, we have got that sequence as well. Okay, so this is what our code will do for us. Okay, now coming to the last class, that is called as tree map. So let me just create an object of tree map like this. We'll make it generic, and here also let's write the constructor part of the object, and the tree map will import it from java.util package. Okay, and tree map is completely sorted. It will sort out all the trees based on the values which we have written. Okay, so let me just run the code. Okay, and as you can see, r r then s and s. Okay, so this is the entire collection frameworks, okay, which you have to follow if in case you have heterogeneous type of data, and if you have key value pair, then you should have go with a map kind of interface. Okay, which will give you those properties is key value pair, and depending upon the sequence, sorting, sets, okay, queues or array list, okay, you can use any type of interface or collection classes you want. Okay, so that is all there is in collection framework. Okay, I hope I have not missed anything. Okay, so all this code will be available on GitHub as well. I'll be sharing the link as well. Okay, so now let's move on to the next topic. The next topic I want to talk about is called as file handling. Okay, so file handling is nothing but how using Java code only you can make your own folders in your computers, any file locations, and then maybe create your own text files and then write inside that text files using Java code itself. Okay, so let's go those things right now. So let me just go to the src folder, go to new, and just create a package called as file handling programs. Okay, file underscore handling programs, and in this one let's create a new class, okay, called as making folders. Okay, I want to make folders in Java project. Okay, so let's just add main function, get this code. Let's use a file class. Okay, file f is equal to new file, and let's say in some location I want to create the folder. Okay, so first of all, what you have to do is you have to import the file from java.io package. Okay, and inside these double quotes you have to mention the folder location where you want to create that folder. Okay, say let's say in our project folder only in src. Okay, let me just go to properties, and let's copy this path. Okay, so this is the path where I want to create some other folder, so let's paste that path over here. Okay, and the folder name which I want to keep something like this, Java nodes folder. Okay, so this will be the folder name which I want to create. Okay, now we have mentioned the path where we need to create the folder, and this f reference variable will know that thing. Okay, see, if I say f dot, okay, so there is a method called as exists. Okay, I will say if it already exists, then no need to create a. See, if already exists, okay, then no need to create. But if it does not exist, so I'll add the not symbol. Then I will say f dot make directory mkdir. Okay, mkdir is the function, okay, which will make that directory. Directory means folders in our computer location. Okay, and if it is not there, it will make directly, or else it will come to the else block and say the folder already exists. Okay, so I'll say like this: folder already exists, no need to create it, like that. So let me just add this full stop over here. Let's remove this extra white space codings. Okay, so let's save this and let's run our program. Okay, run it as Java application. Okay, and then in Eclipse window only you can refresh your project, and as you can see we have got a new folder over here called as Java notes folder. Okay, now let's right click on this, go to properties, and let's click on this arrow mark button. Okay, and it will point you to that folder which it has just created and which is like totally empty right now. Okay, so now let me just close that window. Let's cancel this one. Okay, so this was the first task of creating this particular folder using Java code, using this make directory function. Okay, see guys, now if I try to run this program again, okay, it will say folder has already been created, folder already exists. It is not going to create anymore for us. Okay, now what we will do is in the same file handling package, okay, we are going to create a new class, okay, where we are going to be making text files in this same location. So let me just create a class called as making text files. Okay, making text files, and here m should be capital because it's a class name. Let's add public static void main and let's click on finish. Okay, so I'll be using the same file class itself from java.io package. Okay, so let me just copy this. See, this is the location where I want to create that text file. Okay, where I want to create the text file. Okay, so now just like that only. Okay, what I will say, if it already exists, then no need to create. Okay, or else we will say create that file. Okay, so let me come here, copy paste the same code, like if f doesn't exist. Okay, instead of making a folder this time, like make directory, we have one more function called as create new file. Okay, so it is going to create a new file, okay, in that particular location. Okay, and here we will have to mention that file name which we want to keep. So we'll put double forward slashes and say java notes.txt. Okay, that is going to be the extension of our text file. Okay, so now this create new file option is there. Okay, and here let me say instead of folder exist, okay, so text file. Okay, text file already exists. Okay, so like that I will have to mention. So let me just save this one. Okay, and see guys, here we are getting this red color underline saying we might get an error. Okay, see, we might get an error because see, this folder, okay, might be there, might not be there. So in that case what we have to do, either we have to surround it with try catch block or throws declaration. Okay, any one of them is fine. So let's add the throws declaration. So throws declaration is nothing but it will add it to the function's name, like throws input output exception, IO exception. Okay, so now let's save this file. Okay, and let's run the code. Okay, so it's not going to give us any kind of output if it has correctly succeeded in making that file for us. Okay, so now let's refresh this project. Okay, and this is the folder in which we have created the text file. So let's expand it, and yes, we have got the java notes.txt file which is present and which is totally empty right now. Okay, so in the first we made that particular folder called as Java Notes folder. So this is that folder, and inside that one we made a text file called as java notes.txt file. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to write something inside that text file. So let's come to this file handling package, right click, new class, and say writing in text file, and let's add the main function. Let's click on finish, and let's write the location first where that file is. So let's copy this first line of code, okay, from the previous program, and mention it over here, that here is where our file is, that is the text file which is called as java notes.txt. Okay, and in that we want to write some string. Okay, so let me just create a variable here called as notes or something. Okay, and here in double quotes I will say um, welcome ECODRS to Java programming. Okay, programming like this. Okay, and I'll add \n for the next sentence to come in the next line. Okay, so now we have our file ready with us, and we have our notes ready with us, which we want to write inside that text file. Okay, now using a class called as file writer. Okay, using a class called as file writer, I'll make a reference variable and an object of the file writer class as well. Okay, and pass our file into that. Okay, that is the f variable. Say this is the f variable which knows the location of this java notes.txt file, and that file we will have to pass over here. Okay, and this also we have to import it from java.util io package. Okay, and this error we are going to get, if at all that file is present or not, it doesn't know, so it might give you an error, that is exception, so we will have to handle that. So we'll add a throws declaration, or let's surround it with try catch block, any one of them is fine. Okay, so now that error is also gone. Okay, now using fw reference variable, there is a function called as write. Okay, and we want to write our notes inside that one. Okay, so once the notes is written, fw will close that file as well. Okay, file writer will close that option. Okay, so now when I run this program, okay, let's say we run this program. Okay, and let's open this text file and see, okay, whether we have got this text written in our text file or not. Okay, perfect, we have got welcome encoders to Java programming. Okay, so now let's close this file. Okay, now let's suppose we have one more line to write. Okay, so we'll say we'll comment out this line, and just like this only. Okay, I want to have a second line which I want to print it over there. Okay, see, I'll say like this is the second class. First line is already written. Okay, now I want to say this is the second class in the next line. So now again I've commented the first line, now I'm printing the second line inside that file. Okay, so now if I run this code right now, run as Java application. Okay, now let's open that text file and see guys, first line is gone. Okay, and the text got overwritten by the second line. Okay, the first line got deleted. Okay, so this happens only when we are not in append mode. Okay, so whatever the first line was written, along with that a new line should get appended, means added to the previous text. So in order to do that, what you have to do here, when you are passing the file, you'll just have to pass true as the variable. Okay, true as one of the parameters, which will set the writing part in append mode. Okay, in append mode. So first what we will do, first we'll write the first line. Okay, so let me just get rid of the second line. Okay, say string notes is equal to, okay, welcome encoders to Java programming. So I'll go to the text file and I'll intentionally delete everything from that particular file. Okay, so so right now the file is totally empty. Okay, and now let's run this file. Okay, so we'll be having first line of code written inside the text file like this. Okay, so as you are seeing, we got welcome encoders to Java programming. Okay, so now let's close this file, and now here I will write a separate line. Okay, so I'll say this is the second line of nodes. Okay, now let's save it and let's run this file once again. Okay, and now let's open that text file java nodes.txt, and as you are seeing, first line is already present over there, and we added a new line that is called as this is the second line of nodes. Okay, so this is how, okay, you are going to do file handling operations on any kind of file. You can write in that, you can create folders, and you can do a lot of options in this manner. Okay, so this covers up all the core java topics, okay, which are present, okay, in core java, and which will help you out in the interview sections a lot, okay, whenever you are trying to uh, build your profile for a java programmer in that case. Okay, and I've not gone in depth for string programs, array programs, and star pattern programs like that, but I have a ready playlist which I have created, okay, which I want to show you guys right now, okay, in my YouTube channel. So anybody who wants to learn, okay, who wants to learn like star pattern programs or the number programs in java, okay, they can go to this playlist and they can learn from there. Okay, so star pattern programs are the nested loops where you will be designing star patterns of such sort. Okay, I have done more than 26 kinds of star pattern programs. You will see most of the time in the interview sections, and these are all the number programs, okay, which I have written down here. Okay, and this is the entire playlist of which I have the react application, star pattern programs, number programs, okay, as well as I have python web designing as well as the flask tutorials. Okay, and flask tutorials is with the flask framework from the entire starting till the end, like making a small application to bigger applications. And in the future I'll be uploading advanced java topics where I'll be teaching you how you can create dynamic websites using j2e, that is advanced java. Okay, so these links I'll be sharing in the sections, okay, as well as the code for today's class will be shared on github, okay, from where you can find the entire source code of what of all these codings which we have done today. Okay, so I hoped I have done justice, okay, and I have covered almost each and every topic in java, okay, which any person, okay, from the absolute beginner, okay, can attend interviews in java and clear the interview rounds. Okay, so best of luck for your future. Thank you very much, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting a lot of videos like this. Okay, thank you very much.